We're here with Jay Pelletier from Q LLC, and you guys make some of the best firearms, silencers, other components out there. Do a lot of work for the special operations community, a lot of other places. You make some of the lightest, most effective rifles out there. And then your background, you do a lot of media for them, but you've also been on consumer education. You know all the ins and outs of everything. You were at SIG for a long time before that. And then you said you were in the military at one point too?
Yeah, I went in the Air Force right out of high school. I was a munition systems specialist, was stuck in Utah. I got assigned to 649th Munition Squadron, and they don't really deploy. So we have the largest bomb dump in the world. So for those that are familiar with that, on the depot side, there's 2 ammo squadrons in Utah, and I was on the depot side, and I was there with dudes that 14 years and never got a TDY, never got a deployment, none of that. So
you said the largest what?
Bomb dump. So storage, like
used
a
or waiting to be used?
Yeah, waiting to be used.
Waiting to be used.
Yeah. So one of the Moab that Trump dropped in 2017, the mass ordnance airburst, that came from my unit. So like, you know, a couple of guys in my unit, we all had at different points inspected, whether it be a periodic maintenance inspection or whatever, on pieces of the Moab. So I wasn't in when they dropped it, but that was from my base, that kind of thing. So didn't deploy, got out, came home, and immediately, as soon as I got home, I applied at SIG. I just heard that they were hiring. I think actually my stepdad and he would get emails that they were hiring. So I went in, you know, out of TAPS, you know, as you transition out, they make sure like your resume is up to date and you're all dressed up in your suit and tie or shirt and tie or whatever. And I walked into SIG for my interview, and they walked me through the floor, and I'm in a shirt and tie and like proper, but all these dudes it's just an oily, gnarly facility. Dudes are in shorts and t-shirts and looking at me like I'm who knows what. So, but it ended up working out. I got hired on full time, which at the time was pretty rare for SIG. They'd hire a lot of temps in, and then after 6 months either hire on full time or whatever. So I got hired on full time, did 4 years there. I ended up being one of the lead quality inspectors at one of their facilities in Dover, actually, a walking distance from where Q is right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're no longer there, but they moved up the road. But yeah, walking distance from where Q is. So I have a technical background, but then, you know, the guys that know me from Q are just like, oh, that's the big bearded hippie guy that, you know, whatever, shoots and laughs and says stupid stuff. So I get to play an idiot on TV, but I do have a technical background as well.
Oh, it's fascinating. And yeah, it's interesting thing about the Moab. For people that don't know, it's like kind of the nickname for it is the mother of all bombs.
Right.
It's the largest conventional bomb in the U.S.'s inventory.
Yeah, largest non-nuclear.
GBU 31? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's 31. I don't remember the nomenclature. I should, but
I need to fact check myself on that. I think that's what it is, but I'm not positive. Yeah. But interesting thing about that, I did, for people that have followed my work for a while, I deployed with a Special Forces ODA in Afghanistan at a place called Cop Blackfish. It was originally called OP Bravo. They turned it into Cop Blackfish, but that was in the Momond Valley. That existed. They were there at the sort of top of that valley because the Moab was dropped in order to allow forces to get up through the Momond Valley, because it was just an ISIS-K stronghold. All those cave systems and everything like that, they needed something like that conventional bomb to be able to send enough overpressure to collapse the caves. Right? Like a lot of people don't understand why that bomb was used. And it was because they literally couldn't get up the valley to establish this very strategic location there. Yeah. So these guys that I embedded with, and it was still a very, you know, they're doing terrain denial missions all day, all night, basically. Like it was a pretty hairy area where they were at, but they were only even able to be there because that Moab was dropped in that location. I've actually got a picture of myself standing like in the crater of the Moab.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the combat controllers that was attached to them, he took me down and was like, hey, want to go see?
That's super cool. Like, yeah, my 649th Munitions like Facebook page, the cover photos when they built it up, it's everyone that had worked on the build up. Everyone's standing on the or on the flatbed with it, because you got to roll it out on a 40-foot tray. It's not a small munition by any means.
Yeah,
so,
you got to be forklift certified, I bet.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Which was crazy because the government certified me forklift driver, but when I went to SIG, every now and then like their forklift driver, we need to move some stuff. I'm like, I'll do it, and they're like, you're not who you haven't taken the class. I'm like, the government said I could do this. I think I can figure it out, but they wouldn't let me. So
if I can tote bombs around, I should be able to get this pallet of markers. I don't know what.
Just
what
aluminum,
are those pallets of?
Aluminum blocks.
Yeah.
But
well, let's get into some of the stuff that you guys have going on at Q. Like I said, you guys have some really cool stuff over there. Like just the names, right? Like I think about the way you guys approach branding as I'd put you in the same category as like Noveski for people familiar. And Noveski and Q, you guys don't do the same thing at all or anything like that, but you have a similar approach of like, we're not going to do branding and marketing the same way everybody else does.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin already had, so for those who are unfamiliar with Kevin Brittingham, he started AAC when he was 19, Advanced Armament Corporation. And the AAC logo was like a skull and cross rifles. And it was very tough guy, black guns, like it's all during the GWAT. So like that was that focus, like the vet bro, like tough guy, high end user, all this stuff. And for people who don't know, like Kevin is an insane artist. Like he does, sometimes guys will get dealers will get boxes in their shipments of guns and Kevin will have drawn something on the box or whatever. So people actually kind of trade Kevin's box art around now. And he skateboards and grew up riding BMX. And so he was not in the military. He's not this like big tough guy. I mean, he'll probably get mad at me for saying he's not tough, but he's not like he's not that cool guy, whatever. Yeah. He hunts in tie-dye shirts and flip-flops. Like he's his own person. He would go to SIG and be in the boardroom with all the guys that are all snobby and this and that. And he'd have shorts and flip-flops on. Like it's just, he is who he is. And he didn't want Q to be that. He didn't want it to be the tough guy, whatever. It's just like, Q is full of creatives, even to the extent of the engineers. Like they think outside the box, and that's Kevin's big thing. And we'll kind of discuss as we go through the product line or different things where it's like, things as simple as we did a 5.56 version of the Honey Badger, and Kevin, when I explained that he's this out of the box thinker and he's very much a why not guy, and he proposed that, hey, we'll do 5.56 in the Honey Badger. He said, what barrel length do we do? And he asked, the sales guys and this and that who are all data driven, and he said, what barrel length? And they said, well, we can't go below 10.3 or 10.5, 11.5, whatever. And Kevin said, well, why not? And they said, well, it's industry standard. And he said, I don't care. He said, well, what if we spin it faster? No one thought of that. No one thought, oh, okay. Even though we do it with our 300 Blackout, our 8.6, all that. He said, why don't we just spin the barrel like the rifling faster, and we'll shorten the barrel. And everyone said, oh yeah, I guess I didn't think of that. So we ended up doing a 9.69 inch barrel because we're 11-year-olds, and we just spin it faster. We spin it 1 and 5 instead of 1 and 7, and it works. Wow. And it just comes from basically Kevin's the kind of person that's like, well, don't tell me I can't do it. Cause unless I can't do it, don't tell me I can't, because why not? So, and that's how he approaches everything, and how he tries to instill all of us to approach all the projects and quote unquote problems within the industry.
Yeah, it's a unique way to do it. And yeah, you brought up the Honey Badger. I mean, some of the names that you guys come up with, we've got the Boombox, the Honey Badger, Sugar Weasel, the Fix, the Mini Fix. Like these are the names of your rifles. And to your point, these aren't just the pictures on your website are not, rifle over a black background. It's hot pink, hot blue.
Some operator.
Yeah. It's a really approachable way to do this. And yeah, you just don't really see it anywhere else. But at the same time, it's not all form, no function, right? Like you guys are really exceptional at the sort of products that you put together. I think probably the thing that you're maybe most known for is the 8.6 Blackout. And that's kind of an evolution of the 300 Blackout.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So to make a super long story short, Kevin does AAC when he's 19. Ethan Lassard, who's kind of the head of our special projects and head of our engineering department, he worked at AAC as well. He helped develop 300 Blackout. We've talked about it before with the Noveski connection. Kevin and Johnny were just really good friends. They were probably basically best friends. I believe Kevin gave Johnny's eulogy at his funeral, and we have a good relationship with Noveski to this day. So I believe Johnny made Kevin a 300 Whisper bolt gun, and it just happened to be at the same time that Kevin was working with JD Jones on 300 Whisper to try to replace the MP5 SD and 9mm for SOCOM. So 8.6 comes in because of 300 Blackout. So
what time frame was this?
Early 2000. 300 Blackout. I want to say it was mid 2000. It was pre 2010. It was like.
I'm just thinking about phasing out the MP5 and stuff, because you see MP5s everywhere through the 80s and 90s, for sure. And SOCOM, and then as you get into the GWAT, they kind of disappear a little bit.
Yeah, so
you got like 10-inch you know, you got the 10-inch barrels and things like that coming into, you've got some stuff coming from Daniel Defense and some systems, things like that. And so things were kind of, the idea of a small rifle, assault rifle was changing.
Yeah. And that whole thing, I mean, if you ask guys that were, I mean, he was working with tier 1 elements within US SOCOM, both on the Navy and Army side. And essentially an MP5 SD, if you grab it, it's an 8-pound gun that effectively is shooting 380, because people don't understand SD. They think if a can is tucked under a handguard, it's an SD. An actual integrally suppressed SD gun, you port the barrel. So it's taking all 9mm rounds, whether they're supersonic or subsonic, and it's making them subsonic because you're porting a bunch of the gas. So you cover those ports with a can. It makes it super quiet, but you're losing that velocity.
So, and yeah, this is where we get into some things that I'm not super familiar with, but I'm very curious about. So something in a system like that, you can take non-subsonic ammunition and it's going to behave like, as far as the effects, it's going to behave like subsonic ammunition.
Yeah. So you have that short barrel and you're porting a lot of that gas immediately before it even leaves. So like basically at where your barrel meets where you would have a barrel extension, where your barrel is meeting the receiver, there's a bunch of ports around it. And so the bullet's traveling through, it's porting a lot of the gas, which makes it slower. So you're losing that velocity that you would have. Then, I mean, in turn, it's making it quieter because you're not getting that supersonic crack. And you now have this can that's over it, the silencer. So, but because of that, you're taking a normal powered 9mm and neutering it, regardless of grain weight or XYZ. And obviously, the heavier you go, the slower it's going to go. Just science. But and 300 Blackout, AAC, basically the need was they wanted to change the caliber, but there wasn't necessarily a platform change or whatever. And what's cool about Kevin and Ethan, and we see it with Q, and I can explain it later with our products, is the way that a military solicitation works is a lot of times they'll come to you and just say, here's the requirement. And what Ethan and Kevin are great at doing is meeting that requirement and also showing them, hey, this is what you think you need. This is what you actually need. It's meeting your requirement and then some, and we'll show you why you need it. And that's, I mean, if you look at AAC, they've had dozens and dozens and dozens of contracts. I mean, you know, at the highest level in the Navy right now, they're still running AAC cans. So it's like they very much know what they're doing in that regard. So what's cool about that is it gave Kevin the opportunity. They did the caliber and they did a platform, being the Honey Badger. So if you take the Honey Badger and compare it to an MP5 SD, it weighs like 3 pounds less than an MP5 SD, and it gives you full rifle capabilities. So you get super and subsonic rounds, that 300 Blackout. So essentially, like supersonic's like a 30-30, and then subsonic is you're shooting a 200 to 220 grain bullet. So your terminal effect is exponentially greater than that 9mm. So for those tier 1 operators, it gives them the ability to do, you know, whether they want to do full mags and just label them differently, or do like 4 or 5 subs on top of supers, go inside of a structure, do whatever they need to do. If they're leaving the structure and buddy's shooting at them from down the street, they're not outgunned anymore. They still have a rifle capability. So it gave them the ability to fight inside, outside, and with a platform that's not as cumbersome. We have a Honey Badger. I can pull a Honey Badger out. And
what does this thing look like?
So this is the modern iteration of the Honey Badger. It's very similar to what AAC did. The only difference between this one and the SD is that the SD has an 1.5 inch outer diameter can that direct threads, and we just put a can or a handguard over it. It is not integrally suppressed. It never has been. The can is always
this rail just extends out.
Exactly. Exactly. And it looks really cool. And there's some benefit to having that as well. But this is the standard Honey Badger that you can get right now from Q in 300 Blackout. And this is one of our newer cans. It's an all steel can, but we can get into it as far as innovation, all that goes. And engineering, this all steel can weighs the same as our titanium cans.
Really?
And I can probably
does this thing pop off?
Yeah, and I can talk about the muzzle attachment too, which is another huge thing. So our whole Q's, the impetus behind everything is we create systems. So it's not just the can, it's not just the gun, it's not whatever. We create the entire system, and we do it to the best of our ability. And we try to create the next best thing. But a lot of it is at the request of, you know, SOCOM and special operations abroad as well. But so this is an all steel can, and it weighs I don't know, 11 ounces, 12 ounces.
That's insane.
So if you were to compare that to like Knight's Armament has steel and Inconel cans, or
and this is called the Blind Tiger.
That one's the Blind Tiger, yeah. And the longer of the two is the Speakeasy. So a Blind Tiger is literally just a British Speakeasy.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like it should weigh more than what it does.
Yep.
That's crazy. And yeah, and it's threaded on. There's no like janky quick detach clip that rattles around. Like this is I assume a pretty quiet platform to run.
Absolutely, yeah. And so for us, kind of a lot of our stuff is everything you need, nothing you don't. So, you know, with the MP5s, like 3-lug, or people call it tri-lug. Mm-hmm. It's convenient, but it's heavier and there's more things that can go wrong. With a latch or a gate or whatever, there's just more parts and more things that go wrong. You have more tolerances, all that. So what we do, especially with our muzzle devices, so we taper our barrels. A lot of people will go, oh, that's interesting. SIG tapered their barrels too. That was Ethan and Kevin. When Kevin sold AAC, they both ended up back at SIG. So like the MCX, the MPX, they have a tapered muzzle.
Gotcha.
They did it while they were at SIG. So we do a tapered muzzle, and then the inside of this Cherry Bomb, which is our muzzle device, is tapered as well. And then if you look here, you have a taper right here. Mm-hmm. And so the tapers do a bunch of things. We did not create it. Machinists have been using tapers for centuries, but it helps with alignment. So the concentricity between your bore, the muzzle device, and the can, everything is going to be aligned. Mm-hmm. And also the tapers, if you match your threads to your tapers, that taper locks itself up. So it requires 20% more torque to remove than to put on. So a big issue with cans is you tighten your can down, shoot it a bunch, and the heat and the vibration will cause it to walk off, and you'll get a loose can. That's when you start getting baffle strikes, end cap strikes, or the can just shoots off. Mm-hmm. That won't happen with this because of those tapers. So the inside of this matches this matches this. So it's very simple. It allows us to not have to use any adhesives or shims or anything like that. Again, shims, adhesives, all things that can mess with your alignment. I believe it was at AAC. I want to say it was Ethan. I'll give Ethan the credit because Kevin gets enough credit. So they did a trick. I don't know if it was actually a Surefire muzzle device. I believe it was, but if you buy a Surefire muzzle device right now, like a War Comp, it'll come with a bunch of little washers, little shims that each have just a little strip of magic marker on them in different colors to differentiate thicknesses. They decided, let's put all of the shims on, put all the magic marker at 12 o'clock and just see if the tolerance from the magic marker builds up. So they do that, torque it down, put the can on. And I believe at the muzzle, they had 30 thou of deflection, which is significant. That's how you start getting end cap strikes, baffle strikes, all that. And that's just from the buildup of the magic marker over time. Mm-hmm. It allowed 30 thou of deflection at the end. So that's why we don't like shims, crush washers, even adhesives. Guys will throw adhesives on and then lay their gun down, let it sit, and all of that just drips into one side or pools into one side. And that realistically can, especially as it heats up and starts shifting around, it can cause misalignment. So we don't want that. We don't want to have to worry about cans walking off. Also, if you notice, like we shoot this is all carbon on here, but your threads are all fine because we seal it off with that taper. So initially at AAC, they put the taper behind the threads, and Kevin realized, oops, we're getting carbon lock. So these cans aren't going to carbon lock on. They're going to stay aligned. Another thing that we do at Q, which I'm surprised most companies don't do this. SIG did it, but we wire EDM these bores. So they come in, the baffles come in undersized. We stack them all up, weld them, whatever. The bores are undersized, and we screw them onto a mock muzzle or muzzle device, depending on if it's direct thread or whatever. Then we wire EDM them to that muzzle device. So we get the proper bore size and it's aligned with the muzzle. So you have proper alignment all the way through. It's expensive and it takes a lot of time. So I understand companies not doing it, but it is the right way to do things for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Honey Badger, that's on all of our muzzles, whether it's bolt guns, gas guns, any of that. The Honey Badger, a lot of people think, oh, it's just another AR-15. It is not. The recoil system is entirely different. We spin these barrels 1 in 5. It's a 300 Blackout barrel. So it's a 7-inch 300 Blackout barrel that we spin 1 in 5, and we'll get all into, especially with 8.6, we'll get into the fast spin and all that. But I mean, this gun weighs 4.5 pounds. I've obviously got an EOTech on it and then a can, but this is, a lot of people don't realize too, like you take an MP7, it's the same size as this.
Really?
And an MP7 is notoriously not great at killing things. Mm-hmm. It's cool. It's a cool gun. It's light. Mm-hmm. It's compact. It's the same size as this.
Yeah. And what's interesting too is like you guys have a chunky selector switch. You have like, it's chunky in the places that you want it, right? And just really slim, sexy everywhere else.
Yeah, like even like we machine the receiver so like you're not getting snagged on these. Like if you look at the Maxim ones or Daniel Defense, whatever, these arms stick out. You can catch stuff in there. Radian was doing these these charging handles for us. They're a little more narrow and they're rounded, so they're not snagging. People complain about this being a 2-position stock. It's either closed or open, but the group of people that wanted them said, hey, it's in or out. Like the original ones, you could just pull them through. You didn't have to hit the button, but over time they wobble. We do a 70-degree selector on our gas guns because we spent the time and did the testing. And we realized that through all of the drop testing, we found that 70 is the shallowest you can go while always being safe. So 45 is a lot of people like that, like 45-degree selector and this and that, but it's not safe. It might be in your gun, but it's not. Yeah,
that's interesting because when you start to sort of mess with things that are muscle memory type things, it always raises eyebrows a little bit. When I was in the military, we were one of the first units to be fielded and take to combat the FN SCAR, the Mark 16 and Mark 17. And, one of the big sort of concerns around that was the fact that it had that like charging handle on the side there. And you're getting away from the muscle memory of guys that have built out over thousands and thousands of rounds. And now you're changing that, especially in a life or death situation. And so this isn't the same as that. And I think it's less dramatic than that.
For sure.
But it is a thing, like guys are really used to that, like having that at a perfect.
Yeah.
Did you guys get any feedback on that as far as like not a problem, was a problem?
70 is really similar to 90. The 45 is definitely a civilian thing, 45 degree, that for whatever reason, like, it's quicker on and off. We have 45 on the bolt guns and it's fine. The reason I like it on the bolt gun is because I lazy thumb when I shoot precision. So I keep my thumb on, and at 45 it's a nice, perfect little ledge for my finger, whatever. But, no, we didn't really get any. It's quicker technically because it's 20 degrees shorter, but, it's still close enough that the guys that are used to that 90, it won't throw them off.
Yeah.
The recoil system is an entirely different thing. So it rides on, there's a guide rod in here, and there's a plug that sits in the back of the bolt carrier, and it rides down that guide rod similar to like a pistol. So it's a direct impingement gun, not a piston, but it rides on that recoil system, and that allows, so like when you shoot it, you don't hear if you're used to shooting like a standard M4 or even the old M16s, you could hear the buffer inside the stock. You don't get that with this just because of how it works. We also, I'm going to send the bolt home. These have our 2-piece bolt carrier on them. So one thing that people don't realize, I'm going to drop that mag. One thing people don't realize is that there's like 3 companies that make bolt carriers right now, like mil-spec bolt carriers for the entire industry. And during COVID,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of spooky secrets in the industry that people don't necessarily know. But during COVID, you're buying mil-spec bolt carrier groups, and they'd come in, we'd check them, and they're not mil-spec. So we couldn't get them. We couldn't get them proper. And we said, screw it, we'll make our own. So we do a 2-piece bolt carrier, which is cool because the Honey Badger bolt carrier group is a little different than a mil-spec. It's shorter and it has some other little differences. But what this allows you to do is, in theory, you could pull this out of this gun, pop that one pin, take the back end off, put a standard mil-spec rear end on there, and then go run it in your Sugar Weasel or any standard ARM4. The front end, all of your wear pieces, like your bolt, your gas key, your cam pin, all these, it's all mil-spec. So if for any of the parts that would go wrong, whether it be your gas rings or your bolt, whatever, you can replace those easily. It's not proprietary. The system is proprietary, but the parts are not. And that stemmed from, we had issues getting parts, and also there were improvements that we wanted to make. So a lot of people they talk about the Honey Badger and go, it has bolt bounce, like from back in the day. 1, you don't shoot fast enough for bolt bounce to matter, I promise. 2, you probably don't own a machine gun. 3, it doesn't matter. So, but that was one thing we thought about, and I'll pull the boombox apart and show you because it's the same recoil system, but this is an older one, so it's a pain to get back together. But we have now a plug that basically is a dead blow hammer in the back end of the recoil system, or the bolt carrier group. So it alleviates bolt bounce. Like all these things that technically do matter, but as a civilian don't really matter. We fixed. And that whole gun, everything, it's crazy because people think like, oh, you're just a gun company that's printing out new guns or whatever. Each thing is its own system and its own book of problems and issues. And
this is why I wanted to have you on, because like, hey, look, we're talking about products here and things like that. Like, this isn't some sponsored segment by Q or anything like that. Like, what you guys are doing is genuinely innovative.
Yeah.
It's a very highly technical field. Like, for people that aren't into guns, firearms, you know, this whole world, like, this is stuff that, you know, when innovation comes, it's kind of a big deal, because you're right. And especially because the industry is kind of entrenched in a lot of different things. Like you said, like rifle twist and things like that just really was never messed with. And so when you guys are just completely just, hey, starting from scratch, throw everything that you know about a rifle out, a silencer out, and like, let's just start over. Like, that's why I want to talk about this, is because you guys are building entire systems here that are unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, these are very unique.
Yeah, and I mean, the closest thing, I mean, we offer the Sugar Weasel, which we used to call the poor man's honey badger, and it really isn't. It's a high-end AR, and that's more mil-spec. The front end is all the same. You're getting the honey badger, so you're getting, for what you pay for that gun, I think right now it's $1,700. You're getting a ton of features. You're getting the adjustable gas block, you know, the tapered muzzle, cherry bomb. You're getting the fast twist barrel, the mounting system that we use. We're getting all these features, 2-piece bullet carrier, the trigger, again, naming, we called it literally the best trigger ever made, so that if you wrote a bad review on it, you still had to call it literally the best trigger ever made.
Is that trademarked?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm gonna start calling this the best podcast ever made.
Yeah. So if someone writes a bad review, they still have to call it the best podcast ever made. So you get all these features that you know, if you were to build your own gun with media or like mid-range parts, you would still be in at the same price, you know, like, and they wouldn't have half the feature set that you get. So, but aside from that, this is the closest to like, oh, it's a 300 Blackout AR. Like, sure, but it's not, you know, sometimes the word proprietary can throw people off because they're like, you know, HK parts, like a 416, you jack up your 416, you're screwed. You have to go to HK to fix it, whatever. Sure. But also, like, there's so many, you can interchange parts in here if you need to. But this is not a standard AR, like just the stripped receiver sets. Like, we don't have the footprint right now to manufacture, like actually machine all of our parts. So like receiver sets, we have to outsource mostly to local vendors. And, you know, there was a period of time where we were paying more for just the stripped receiver sets, our cost. We paid more than you could go buy a complete AR for.
Really?
And that's just because of, like, the gun weighs 4.5 pounds. Any other gun that's like that has a skeletonized mag well and grip and this and that. Like, that's not how you take weight out. You take weight out of every single part to make it light. In doing that, you have to make sure they work too. So that's the difference. The big thing with, like, you mentioned the fast twist and this and that. Like, the reason that we go into a lot of this, if you wanted to just start a company right now and make guns, you could push out mil-spec guns and print money. Like, as long as they're decent and you're getting your parts from reputable, the same companies everybody else is, you're going to print money.
Differentiate yourself with brand and don't have to worry about innovating or doing anything crazy.
If you want to innovate, it costs a lot of money and a lot of time. So we're lucky that Kevin's brain is basically like, hey, you're going to fail a bunch, but if you do it right in the end, it's going to work. And he tells us all the time he would rather us fail than talk about it and not go do it. Because if we failed, at least we tried, and we're going to learn something from it, and we'll probably reach the outcome after.
Like tests that you run, like people, everything in life, I firmly believe you learn something from everything. Sometimes it's what to do, sometimes it's what not to do. For sure.
I mean, we call it literally the best trigger ever made. I like the name, but we also, it was going to be all sorts of, it was going to be the Tallywhacker, the Finger Blaster, it's going to be a bunch of stuff. So we may have missed out, but that trigger alone, like I saw our engineer come in every single day for 1.5 years and just drop that trigger. Ain't a gun, but just drop it every day for 1.5 years. We could have just done a trigger that based off a design that we know already works and is good to go. It'll be drop safe. Cool. This is the most drop safe AR trigger on the market. You can drop it in any of your standard AR M4 platforms, or boombox. But that took him all of the time, a year and a half that he could have been building a new, coming up with a new product or working on something else or whatever, he spent dropping the gun over and over and over again. We did every single drop test that is there, like ones that are no longer used, ones that are currently used, whatever, so that no matter who the customer is, if they hit us with it has to pass this drop test, well, we've already done it, so we know it will.
And just for people to have context here, we're not talking about, especially with who some of your customers are, we're not talking about like, I accidentally dropped my rifle. We're talking about guys who rig this up for parachute operations and have to lower their equipment before they land. So this thing is, potentially hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Going at significant speeds with significant force behind it, and it still needs to be able to work when you pull it out of its this is something that you have to take really, really seriously, with, especially again, the clientele that you guys have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, the cool part about that trigger is like, before we even brought it to market, we got a contract in the UK for it. So it's like, we did all the testing. We know it's going to pass. We give it to this customer. And initially, actually, there's a kind of a funny story with it. Initially, we sent them the whatever the amount was, and in time we get the feedback. Hey, how is it? Is everything good? And they said, yeah, well, the attrition rate is too low though. We're not getting the attrition rate that we normally get. Can you make because we had it even lighter than it was before. Like, it's a sick trigger. And like, we're not getting the attrition rate. Can you make it? Essentially, can you make it shittier? Like, can you make it a heavier pull? This, that. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That's easy. We can do that. So what's funny is like, we made the trigger too good. The guys were passing their quals, better than
that's
before.
A real thing though, because too light of a trigger, it's like throwing somebody into an F1 car that and they're not an F1 driver.
Absolutely.
Like to have those really light trigger pulls, you have to be a very experienced person. Like, even like for me, I don't shoot enough to have a super light trigger. Like, I think people, they get wrapped up in, they want the best spec of everything, not realizing like, man, maybe you ain't there.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that I think as a company, we're just kind of coming to terms with within the last couple of years, where it's like, our product is not for everybody, and that's okay. We don't have to market this gun as a dual AR, because it's not. It was designed for an intended purpose, and it's really good at that purpose. It's good at other things, but that doesn't mean it's a dual AR. And that's fine. Like, you're not bringing, a GT3 RS to a monster truck show or whatever. Like, it's just not, it's right tool, right job type thing. And so we have to understand as a company that it's okay that our product isn't for everyone. And I think that we're at terms with that now. And we always have been, but I think we're more public about it now, where it's like, cool, man. Like, people will say, oh, well, I can't breach a door with the stock. I'm like, well, first of all, where are you reaching doors? Yeah. Secondly, why would you use that anyway? Like, this isn't for you then, man. Go buy a sledgehammer. Like, go do whatever else. Yeah. But the time, everything that we do and the time that we put into it, and like, Kevin he talks a lot of shit. Usually he's right. But a big thing that he preaches is like, we have per capita, probably the most engineers, percentage wise, out of all the companies that we know of in the industry. The time that they put in just testing. I mean, the boombox is a testament, where we could have released it a year and a half earlier than we did. And the lead engineer on it said, it's not ready. Just give me more time. And Kevin said, cool. Like,
and to have an environment in your company like that, where a lead engineer is comfortable saying like, it's not yet, because that's, that's revenue that you're not bringing in, right? Like, that's more time in R&D that is not bringing in money for the company. And so to have and create an environment in your company that people feel comfortable saying like, man, let's take a little bit more time to just really make sure it's in. And, and it's smart too. Like, people may think that's the easy decision to make, but again, when you're under pressure with budgets and things like that,
and overhead, you got to pay all these engineers.
Exactly. And, good engineers, and not that I'm the most experienced person in that world. I hear they're not cheap.
They make more than me.
Like, and you're also weighing it too with like, I would love to bring more money in, but the reputational damage that you might deal with. I mean, there's firearms manufacturers right now that are facing significant PR issues
Significant.
Yes. It's, it's something that, hey, it's absolutely worth taking the time to get right. But, you got to have the right company culture.
100%.
You got to have the right company culture to pull that sort of thing off.
Yeah. And we're lucky that, I mean, most of us came from other gun companies. A lot of us, like production side, most of our production team came from SIG. Like, our 3 top engineers are 3, Ethan spent time at SIG before AAC and after. Nick Schaefer and Mitch Bruzy. Nick did the fix. Mitch oversaw the boombox and was in charge of Honey Badger stuff too. And they were both at SIG, not for quite as long, but they know what that culture's like. And Kevin worked at SIG too and knows what the culture's like. And so the whole thing was when he started Q with these core group of guys, the idea was like, we know what other companies are like. Let's not be like that. So we want people to want to come into work every day. Like I was just at the shop, and I got there right as somebody was leaving. Like there's people in that building all of the time. It's not uncommon to walk in at 10, 11 at night and there's still be an engineer there or, guys finishing up a video or whatever. Like, and it's not like oh man, I got to stay, or people come in the week. It's like, oh, I got to come in this weekend. Like people are excited about their projects and they want to come in and finish them. And that's just the culture that Q has created. And now it's harder because we're growing. So, in 2019, I was the 15th or 16th employee, and we're over 100 now. In 2022, we started the year with 32 employees, and it's now 3 years later we have 100 something employees. And with that growth comes the headaches of the growing business and trying to retain that culture and not become the companies that we all left.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about maintaining culture when you've only got 10 people or 20 people. It's another thing when you've got hundreds of employees, 100 or hundreds, thousands of employees. That becomes a different challenge. But and just, to put this in context, when you say that there's, a lot of people that have come over from SIG and stuff, we're geographically, like where this podcast is based, we're in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, right here on the seacoast. You've got SIG headquartered here just a couple miles away. And then Q is headquartered in Dover. And SIG has facilities in Dover and a couple other places right here in the seacoast area. But you got 2 major firearms manufacturers right here.
And even before that, it was, SIG, Thompson Center, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Colt, Winchester, Kimber. Not right in New Hampshire, but all like close.
New England,
within 4 hours of each other.
That's what's crazy to think about with sort of how restrictive firearm laws are in Massachusetts. They used to be the epicenter of firearms manufacturers. Like the most well-known American firearms brands were sort of born and raised in Massachusetts.
Yeah, and even still in Connecticut, you still have Colt and it's very crazy. It's a very strange.
Yeah, but it in some ways it makes sense too. Like you said, it's an engineer heavy operation. There's a lot of engineers out here.
Absolutely.
My wife's dad's an engineer. There's a lot of engineers out here, and it's not just you guys. It's also, there's a lot of defense contractors.
Of course.
Here.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of, this is sort of I bet I don't know what the statistics are, but if I had to guess, there's probably more engineers here per capita than a lot of other places.
I would think so.
Not counting like computer, like technology engineers, which that's clearly like Silicon Valley out there. But there's a lot of engineers out here.
Yeah, just Portsmouth, you've got aviation, you've got nuclear, you've got medical, firearms. No, I don't think any automotive, but the defense contractors, like you have all these different industries. And we've again, as we've grown, we've started pulling guys from other industries, like Wilcox is down the street and they do their thing, and BAE. And so we've got guys from there that have come over and this and that. So we're expanding the kind of the breadth of expertise. But again, we're trying to maintain what Q has always been, while continuously growing. And we've been succeeding at it, in the last, I want to say 4 years in a row, the industry has kind of declined as a whole, numbers wise. And we've grown by at least 30% every year.
Would you attribute that to the sort of emphasis on quality over quantity and getting it right?
I think so. And I think the thing about Q is, whether people believe it or not, is it's authenticity. We don't bullshit anything. Any claims that we make, we will back up. I think that's what authenticity, people can see it. Like, we do all these stupid videos and it's like, then I'm at all of our public events and the public shootings, and that sounds crazy, the public shooting events. And I meet people and they go, oh, I expected you to be, that was just, you're playing something on TV or whatever. And it's like, no, like, they point a camera at me and I just do what I do normally at the office or whatever. And I think that also the big thing is people don't know what Marty Daniels looks like, or Marty Daniel, whatever. They don't know who the real owner of Dead Air is. They don't know who these people are. Kevin is accessible. You can call Kevin out and he's going to comment back and call you an idiot. Like there's an accessibility that Q has that other companies don't have. Kevin is the only guy, like he spends 6 months out of the year in Africa. Now he has a house over there and he shot the Big Five, or he's going after Dangerous Game, the Big Five, the Dangerous Seven, all these, and he's using our product every day. He is posting using our product, the gun and the ammo, like the development of 8.6, which we'll get into. He spent hundreds and hundreds of hours in Africa doing live tissue testing, basically on not things that are shooting back at you, but things that want to kill you, and are ultimately a lot tougher than human beings. And he's documenting all of it. We're all documenting it. So it's like, again, if you go watch, say you stumble upon a video and Marty Daniel from Daniel Defense is on a hunt, he's not using his own gun. He's going to end up using like a Blaser or something. Like he's not using his own product because he's definitely not using a Mark 18. And I don't think anyone's strong enough to carry that bolt gun they have in the, anywhere. And people wouldn't recognize him. People know who Kevin is. He is very polarizing on the internet, which also helps. Him being controversial is good for us.
How's he controversial?
He'll openly tell you he's not in the industry to make friends. He's like, I got enough friends. I don't need to make friends. I'm here to do the next best thing. I'm here to innovate. I'm here to do what's right. So he's very outspoken. There's a lot of people, the whole, like, don't meet your heroes. There's a lot of people that look up to Kevin and what he's done. And I think the way that I see it from my point of view is a lot of people want to be friends with Kevin. And they either go about it the wrong way, or they say something, or they do something that Kevin thinks is dumb. And he will be the first person to tell them that is dumb, or you're an idiot. And they don't like that. Like that's, which I understand.
That's the thing about egos, man. Everybody's got too much of an ego.
100%. Like... And there's a lot of bullshit about Kevin online. It's all public. There's stuff about him, whatever. The big thing is like, oh, he's a stalker, like he has a stock chart, things like that. Like, it's all, here's the thing. If all of that was true, I can tell you, and I don't think Kevin would mind me sharing this. When Kevin got his divorce, he got full custody of 3 children. He got full custody from a female judge in Georgia in the South. Full custody. I don't know any other dads that get full custody of their kids who are like, we know dudes, between both of you, or between both of us, I'm sure we know dudes that were literal war heroes who have served their country, whatever. They get a divorce and they don't even get their own kid. So if all of what was said is true, him being, oh, he can't own firearms or this or that. It's like, if that were all true, he comes to work every day. He has custody. He had full custody of all his kids. Like, that wouldn't be possible. People will tell me, I would meet people and be like, oh, well, Kevin's a prohibited person. I'm like, he's at work right now. Like, no, he's not. Like, the ATF comes and does audits and stuff. Like, that's a real thing. And no one has ever been like, oh, he can't be here.
The rumor mill does get out of control real quick, especially in the age of social media and 100%. Everything like that. I'm not, I don't follow it closely enough to even be aware of the content. I don't follow the controversies that closely. I feel like the ones that I do follow exhaust me as it is. I don't need to like find more to follow. But no, that's all really interesting. And I'm not surprised. Typically what I've found, at least, anybody that's achieved any sort of success has controversy around
for sure
that, because you make enemies on the way to being really good at something.
For sure.
There's people that hate Michael Jordan, hate Tom Brady, hate, any successful CEO you can think of. And a lot of times, unlike this, it sounds like this situation, it's very justified. It takes a certain type of person to achieve at a really high level, and they're not always like the nicest, like, let me sit down and have a beer with you, buddy.
Right. I mean, look at like Picasso. Picasso used to carry a gun with blanks in it. And if he came across you during the day and deemed you boring, or he didn't want to talk, he would shoot you with a blank and walk away. Like, strange thing. And like,
dude, Hemingway famously like talked shit about his like contemporary author, like his peers in his own books. He was just like calling them out. Like, I can't imagine right now, like I'm an author now. I can't imagine like talking shit about another author in my book, but he's like, he didn't care.
Right.
You know?
And that's the thing. It is what it is. And I think that we've lost a lot of that, you know, like I'm very enthralled and in deep with the, like, I'm a big, there are ghosts in here?
Dude. All right, let's break real quick. That's fucking wild. So I think we'll cut most of that out, but just to catch the audience up here, we had a little break here. The shelf behind me just crashed. Like everything came crashing down out of nowhere. And I said, I've been in this space now for, I think, close to 2 months at this point, and haven't had, like, these shelves are all solid, so it's weird.
Yeah, and there were no trains that went by or anything like that.
No. So a little interruption to the program there. But we'll keep it interesting. I will say one of the people that I've reached out to is somebody that like specializes in like ghosts and all that sort of stuff. I'm just super curious about it. Like I'm a Christian, but I am very interested in all these other things. And we're in a house that's this place was built in 1800. Yeah. So the mind wanders from time to time.
Absolutely. No, you know? I'm super interested in it. I always, because people ask all the time, like, oh, you believe in ghosts? I'm like, I'm too afraid of them to say no. Like, so yeah, no, that stuff's, but I also love the other side where it's like the blatant, like there was the completely off topic, but there was a woman who was claiming that she was helping police solve, whatever murders with but just by talking to the victims, all this stuff. And there's a very famous clip of a newscaster showing her a photo of this little girl and like, can you help? It's an unsolved mystery, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, she's dead and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, so she's dead. She's like, yeah. She's like, that was me. That's a picture of me in 3rd grade or whatever. Like, I do love the completely bonkers, makes no sense, but it's a weird world in general.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot that we still don't know.
100%.
100%. Like there's just a lot that we don't know, that we don't understand yet. It's just like, if for most of human history, humans weren't aware of UV rays,
right?
Like there's just a lot that I don't think we understand. One of the guests that I have scheduled right now to come on, I think it's the week after your episode goes up here, is a guy that specializes in UAPs and unidentified flying craft, and he's basically top of his field in astrophysics. Like, it's not like some kook. Like, it's like a dude that knows what he's talking about, and it's just, like again, it's not that I'm like that guy, but when I do sit down and think about it, it's like, man, I just think that there's a lot that we don't understand.
For sure.
I'm curious. I'm curious, it's like, there's some people that do think about it deeply, and I want to like,
I just love to learn. I just love to learn. So anything I can learn, whether it's crazy or not, I'm interested in it for sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of learning, I mean, I think that there's a lot of misconceptions out there about suppressors, silencers, all those things. Like, especially can you talk about, and there's been some recent legislation too regarding, I'm sure that impacted business in some way, but can you just talk about like, what's the difference between a suppressor and a silencer?
So, I mean, realistically, it's just a word. Historically, and I think I think the word silencer has always had a negative connotation to the gun guys, because it was always weaponized against that 2A community, where it's like, oh, we need to get rid of silencers because it makes the gun silent and this and that, when in reality it doesn't. But so suppressor has always been kind of the colloquialism, or like the agreed upon, this is what we use, when in reality Hiram Maxim, when he created the silencer, called it the silencer. He called it a silencer. So it's funny because now I think what's cool is the younger generation of gun enthusiasts or gun guys is coming in, and the older generation is still simmering, but they're about to phase out. And it's funny to hear people talk about silencers and kind of have that old guard like, oh, it's suppressors. It's like, well, all right. It's not.
It's interesting. And I've heard some people say like, well, it's only a silencer for using subsonic ammunition. And it's like, okay, but then that has nothing to do with the actual physical product there. So you can't make it ammunition dependent on what it is. Is it a suppressor or is it a silencer?
Yeah. So technically it is a sound suppressor. When Maxim created it, he called it a silencer. So both are correct. Again, I think for a long time that silencer was being weaponized against
It's just like between harvest and kill. When you're talking about hunting, people are like, "Oh, 100%. You got to call it harvesting it."
Right.
Other people are like, "No, you're whitewashing what it is. You're killing the thing."
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's wrong for saying it. Like in the Midwest, it's a big deal to just call it you harvest it. And I don't think it's any surprise that's also where all the farmers are.
Right.
You know? Like, I don't think it's that they're antsy about saying they killed something.
Yeah, and I think it's very similar. But as far as silencers, I'll just unscrew this one since we have it.
Mm-hmm.
So the very general, what is a silencer for those that are not familiar? It's essentially a muffler. Mm-hmm. You know, it goes on the muffler, like on your car. It has baffles. This one's pretty cool because all of ours are, we don't run a tube over them for the most part. We do have some, but you can see all the baffles. So what you have is a mount and then a baffle stack, and the baffles are cones. There's different shapes of baffles. There's K baffles. There's all sorts of different baffle iterations. But to keep things simple, these are all machined baffles. You stack them up, you weld them together, you put an end cap on them. So the main purpose is for basically the gas that comes behind the bullet inside of the barrel. There's a bunch of gas that comes out, and when you fire a gun, you're getting that explosion essentially from all those gases and the powder inside of it.
Literally an explosion.
Yeah. And then you're also getting the supersonic crack of the bullet. When you see planes break the speed of sound, they make that big boom. Same idea. What this does is all that gas that's coming out, it traps it and it swirls it around and it makes it cool down, gives it time to cool down, and then it will exit the front. So it alleviates that big boom that you're getting. Does it do it 100%? No. When you shoot like, especially at 5.56, like when you were in the military, I'm sure at some point you had silencers on your guns. Sound was one, it's not even one of their priorities on that. But two, as you're shooting like 5.56 or even 308 supersonic, anything supersonic, it's not quiet. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times you still want ear pro, but we can get into it. Like if, right now on the civilian side, there's this zeitgeist of like sound. It has to be the quietest. If you look at a military solicitation for a silencer, sound is like 9th on the list. It's not even in the top 3 priorities. And that's one thing that we focus on with our silencers. So a big thing right now is additive manufacturing, so 3D printing. And the idea on the consumer side to achieve that sound dampening is it has to be a 3D printed, super intricate core and this and that. And it's not a good can unless it's that. Well, we're showing that here's an all steel can that weighs the same as titanium and is quieter than most of the cans, its size and weight. We're showing that you can use traditional baffles and older style technology and still compete with these new cans, it's actually harder to do to use a traditional baffle and make it as quiet as it is. And so right now the kind of, people call the gun industry, the gun community. For a community, it's everyone's at each other's throat. It's the only community that I've really seen that everyone says, "Oh, we hate them," and we hate everyone's at each other's throat.
Have you met veterans?
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, yes, I know a couple Navy SEALs. But I will say the kind of the gotcha right now with our cans is like, because we talk about our engineering and our testing and all that goes into it, people will grab this can, cut it in half, and go, "Look, it's 15-year-old technology, and they're selling you snake oil." Well, if that's the case, why is it better than your can? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's 15-year-old technology, but it's lighter and better than yours. So what's the problem? Why do we have to do super intricate 3D print, blah, blah, blah? Like, this is lighter, it's more durable, and it's still quieter. And you're not getting, like, it steals, you're not getting the flash. Like, all the things that you would want, it has. So why does it need to be that way?
It still blows me away about how light that is. The only silencer that I ever used with any sort of regularity was the one that came in the SOCOM Block 2. Mm-hmm. And I forget what brand that was.
Probably Knights.
I think it was Knights.
It's either Knights or Surefire.
And so it was a Knights, 5.56 is what we had. And
they look like the corn cob.
Yeah, exactly.
NT4.
That's the Knights one. Yep. And then the one that came, I carried my last deployment, FN Mark 16, and that had its own specific.
Yeah, the SCAR can.
Yep. And so those are the only ones that I ever used, and both of those, if I remember correctly, were significantly heavier.
Yeah,
significantly.
Absolutely.
And even that Knights one, I remember would, because of that QD clip on there, it kind of rattle a little bit. It didn't feel secure.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, for me, made me a little bit uneasy with it. Just, I knew it worked. I shot with it, but just, you know, you don't like things rattling around.
For sure. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. So what is cool about what we do, especially on the silencer side of things, and again, everything's all systems. And I try to tell, so part of my job, the consumer education thing, is I travel around to our dealer network, especially when we have new products, but I just get them spun up on our product and I try to get them excited about it. Try to give them experiences with it, XYZ. So, and I tell them, hey, you know, we say system and everyone thinks gun, silencer, accessories, all the thing. Each individual thing you have to look at as a system. We talked about our muzzle device. Our muzzle device has tapers before threads. You don't have to time it. It's got the taper lock for the muzzle. It's all these different features. It in and of itself is a system. The same with a silencer. This just looks like a tube with baffles in it. But in and of itself, it is a system. You're getting, obviously, your sound suppression. But what we focus on is all of the other things. You're getting minimal, or you're getting visual signature reduction. You're getting a durability of sound reduction. A lot of cans on the market right now, you shoot them, oh, that's really quiet. 300 rounds later, oh, wow, it's a lot louder than it used to be because it doesn't have the same durability of sound that we care about. Lightweight, compact, durable, POI shift, minimal POI shift. What good is a can if you go you zero your gun and then you throw your can on it and now you're 6 inches to the right at 100 yards? Like, sure, you should re-zero it anyway, but like, you don't want that to happen. That's no good to me. All of the things that we care about, we put in our system, and not only just us, but our military customers as well. The things that other people care about, that the consumer just isn't there yet. There's a lot of consumers that just, now that the barrier of entry for silencers is a lot lower, the education is going to spread. But for a long time, people just knew, okay, I just want to muffle the sound. That's all I'm trying to do. They didn't care about flash. They didn't care. So that
because it's inherently a flash suppressor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, when you throw, so now with the, you know, you've got your flow through cans and your titanium, especially titanium will spark. It's just the metallurgy. At night, you will throw sparks out front, and that's visual signature. If you're shooting at me from the other side of the field in the pitch black, I can see your can. With steel, you don't get that sparking. So it, you know, there's less of a visual signature. Also, it's quiet. Also, the POI shift. Also, the durability. It's going to last longer because it's steel. There's all of these things that go into it. So again, it just looks like a muffler, but everything that we put into it, that's why it takes time to do these. And that's why, like, you know, people go, oh, I got you. It's a 15-year-old design. It's like, sure, the baffle is, but like, what is the gotcha? We'd never said it was space age technology. We just said it was good, and it's good. There are things that we do that are innovative, ultra innovative. And then there are things that's like, hey, if it's not broke, don't break it. You can improve upon it. We're always trying to improve upon things, but this is a good design. So let's just do that and make little improvements here and there.
Yeah. It reminds me, it has nothing to do with guns per se, but sometimes getting back to how things used to work is being innovative, because sometimes things just over time get over-engineered or overthought or whatever. One thing that I think about is in the last 10, 15 years, specifically within the 75th Ranger Regiment, there was a few people that sort of led the charge. One of them is Dr. Andrew Fisher. They brought back whole blood transfusion at the point of injury. So like, you get shot on the battlefield, the capability to do whole blood transfusion right there. That seems like some 21st century shit, right? Like, holy cow, you're doing whole blood transfusion, blood transfusions on the battlefield. That's crazy. They were doing it in World War I. And then we got away from it. And they, like, people thought like, oh, you got to be a doctor to do that. Or like, nope. But you're training regular dudes to do this, you know? And it was one of those things where it was like, it was innovative in that they had the courage to say, hey, to do this. And I'm not a doctor. I couldn't explain all the finer points of maybe how it is different or whatever than then, but the concept of it. And it's just like this. There's some things, look at the M2 heavy barrel machine gun, right? The 50 caliber machine gun. It really hasn't changed a lot in, what are we going on? Almost 100 years at this point, 80 years probably. Like, there's just some things. The C-130 has been in use for a really long time at this point. It does what it needs to do, and there's not really any improvements that you need to make in a big way. You don't need to innovate if it's doing what you need it to do.
And that's my big thing that I wanted to make sure that we talked about at some point on here is innovation. The term innovation, you see it in the gun industry all of the time. And if you look at like NSSF, the SHOT Show, every year they have like a most innovative gun of the year. And I want to say it was last year or the year before. I've seen it numerous times where it's a lever gun. It's an AR that is a lever action. Mm-hmm. That's not innovative. That's just doing something different to do something different.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of even how that is different than just a regular rifle. What if it's a lever action? How does it make it an AR? I don't even.
So it's an AR platform that just has a lever to cycle it instead of a gas system. So you can, in theory, you can have it in certain states or whatever. But like that's
so is it not semi-automatic anymore?
No,
I'm just like very. So it's a lever gun.
It's a lever gun in the shape of an AR. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to talk shit about whatever company that is, but like I just like on its face as you're describing it.
Some dude's passionate about it, and that's awesome that he's able to sell them and do his thing. That's great.
Yep.
Is that innovation? I don't think so.
Yeah.
If you look, like we'll get into the fix, like that gun from the ground up had to be created. Mm-hmm. I'll just pull it.
Before we get into that, before we move on from silencers, I want to kind of address a larger topic here. You guys do a lot of work with the military, and I think for most people at first blush, they would understand why people in the military need this. Why does the average consumer, the average person?
That's a good question, and it's a huge talking point, especially with the recent legislature and kind of the Hearing Protection Act. So if you look at everything that makes a sound right now in the world, your car, your lawnmower, your chainsaw, all of these things, the government requires you to put a muffler on it. Mm-hmm. But guns that cause actual hearing damage all of the time, they want to restrict you from having this on there. And there's this complete, obviously movies ruined everything, but there's this complete misunderstanding of what a silencer actually does. It's not enhancing the performance of your gun. Sure, maybe
if anything, some of them can hinder the performance of your gun.
Exactly. As a whole, I would say that speaking generally, it
reduces your feet per second, your velocity.
But it helps. In the military side, there's a bunch. Your visual signature. It changes the sound enough to not necessarily sound like a gunshot order. And for an early part of the war on terror, you can differentiate between blue and bad. So it's like, oh, those are our guys shooting, not. So there's that. But for the civilian, especially like in hunting, I mean, I'm spoiled now because like I never have to shoot a gun unsuppressed other than like the handguns I shoot. I forget, we'll go to range days or whatever, and other companies will be there. Like even the last like 2 SHOT Shows, they've put us in between 2 companies that make muzzle brakes. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the day, I'm ready to throw up because it's like, it's overpressure over and over again. It's so loud, like it's jarring on your body. For the shooter, it's probably not terrible, but for the, like we hunt in Africa a lot where we have guides, PHs. And when they see, I mean, over in Africa, a silencer is an accessory, and you're encouraged to have it because it's not just for you, it's for everybody around you. So it also doesn't rattle the animal populations. Like there's so many benefits to having it, especially as like a hunter, or like even self-defense scenarios inside of a home or a structure or a car by chance. It's safer on you. It's good for your health. It's, you can't get your hearing back. So there are health benefits to it. And again, the government says I got to put a muffler on everything else. Why wouldn't I put a muffler on a gun? So I think that those are the main reasons. Now the barrier of entry is a lot easier to get into. And then that for people that are, I'm not a lawyer by any means, but the way that I understand and interpret the new legislature, they've removed the $200 tax stamp. So for people that are unaware of how you get, because there was always this mystery of like, how do I get a silencer? You go buy it just like any other gun. That said, you're going to have to, it's on the NFA, or it's NFA regulated. So it's the National Firearms Act. So you have to do additional things. So you submit a photo, like a passport photo, fingerprints, all of these things that go into a different database. And for a long time, you would just wait to get, it has to go, you do your regular background check, but then it also goes from FBI to ATF, all that stuff. And you would wait. So, I mean, back in the day, you'd wait upwards of 2 years. There are guys that waited, I've waited 14 months for a can one time. And that was because it wasn't e-forms. It was everyone doing it manually. E-forms comes out and we were getting guys getting returns in one day. you're going through that other process, but you're going through federal as opposed to state. But now electronically, your wait time is so low, but you still had to pay an extra $200 for this tax. Initially, when that $200, so that since 70, whatever it is, I forget. I should know that, but since they started doing that tax, $200 at the time was
astronomical.
Exactly. Yeah. It was unobtainable. It was unrealistic for people. And that $200 has stayed $200 historically. So they're trying to say, like, with inflation, it should be $4,800, something like that. And that's what they proposed. Like, oh, we'll up the tax on you. So it's $200. Great. It's not that much money, but on top of, say you spent, this can's $800 plus your $200, plus you got to wait for it. It was just enough of a hassle that people didn't want to do it.
And you're not preventing people from getting it.
No, but it's enough of a hassle that people didn't want to do it. And that in and of itself was a win for them.
My point being that you're not preventing people from getting it is they're not just all of a sudden available now. They've always been available.
100%. Yep.
It was just a pain in the butt for people, but now it's...
Yeah, so now they've gotten rid of, starting January 1st, they've gotten rid of that $200 tax stamp. And there have been other people within the industry that are trying to sue and basically say that, well, it should be off the registry because it's not taxable anymore. It's a $0 tax. That's not a tax. So it should be an accessory, just like it is in places in Europe and Africa. And there are parts of the world that you are mandated to, if you're hunting, to have a silencer on it.
Can you say any countries off the top of your head that it's where it's mandated? I hate to put you on the
no,
spot
yeah,
like
I'd
that.
have to look. I believe there's some spots in Europe. It's not mandated in Africa, but I know in Africa it's just an accessory, and you're encouraged by your PHs. We were just talking about it too. There's somewhere in Europe where, and I don't know if it's by the, because a lot of places in Europe it's private land. You have to get. It's just like even fishing, you have to get passes to fish in these certain areas. And so I'm not sure if it was a government mandate or if it was each private property mandate type thing. But I can find that out. I'm just
curious because culture views culture shapes the lens that we view things through. Yeah. And some people it's just looked at differently. I'll say this about just, guns in general. I grew up in South Dakota where it's, I would say almost most people own a gun. Yep. It's used for a variety of things, from hunting to, a justification for self-defense for sure. But, hunting, ranchers that need to be able to protect their cattle, things like, there's a lot of different reasons to have them around. I understand, I can empathize with somebody who grew up in like the inner city in Chicago, and the only version of guns they've ever known is violence. It kills their friends. Yeah. Like I can understand why they would have a different view based than me, who grew up in rural South Dakota. Right. Like that makes sense to me. And I think it might be, as goes the conversation around guns, so does silencers, where 100%. Like if you are raised on, if your lens is through these like 80s and 90s movies, and that they are this feature of like spies and special operations and just not the average
guys that kill,
you don't see guys on the cover of Field and Stream from 1925 with a can on their rifle, right? Like, and I think that has shaped the lens that we view them 100%. Through. Whereas people in countries in Africa, people in countries in Europe, other places like that, they may not have had their lens shaped that way. Yeah. Right? Like,
no, 100%.
It's just really interesting when you think about it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where it comes down to, and I see it a lot of the times, the arguments for and against and all this stuff. And again, I think lack of education is the biggest issue, but it's hard to watch the arguments for and against, especially from our side, because people don't understand. Like, everyone just looks at their opposition side as like, they just want to take everything away from us and blah, 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 this and that. You have to understand that like most of the people, it's coming from a place of good. Like, they're not, when they want to take things away, it's not to harm people. It's to, in their mind, save people. So having the argument is very difficult, because you have to understand that it's coming from a place of good and it's not coming from evil or whatever. It's obviously a much bigger problem. It's something that I'm very interested in the idea of like, if you look at the 40s specifically, like, post World War II, all these guys that are coming back, and obviously World War II, you get deployed, you don't come home till the war is over, or you got wounded, whatever. Yep. So you have all these guys returning home who undoubtedly have insane PTSD, crazy, like unknown and documented, but just
we have a lot of
insane.
rose-colored glasses that
For sure
about the veterans that came home from World War II.
For sure. And all of these guys that have real problems. And at that time, that's one of the least regulated times on guns in our history, to the point where they could just have their kid go to the hardware store and go, hey, go buy me this gun. Here's the money, and bring it back. There were no regulations. Kids were bringing guns to school, all of these things. And we had a legitimate mental health problem, but we don't have the shootings that we had today. And that's a point that I don't necessarily know what the, causation is, not correlation and this and that, but it's like, we've only restricted guns more and more and more. And people say, well, there's more mental health problems today. Well, yeah, maybe, but there were some serious mental health problems back in the 40s too, and 50s. And you weren't seeing the violence at the rate that you are now.
Well, it was different, right? Like we had a lot of gang violence back then. We had, Chicago, Boston, Italian and Irish mafias, things like that. There was serious gang violence. It was different than, Crips vs. Bloods or something like that, or MS-13, but it was still gang violence. For sure. It was still drive-by shootings, things like that. And you still had, one thing that I think about often too, I'm not an expert on mass shootings or anything like that at all. I think that's a whole field of study about why, causation versus correlation, all that sort of stuff. But one thing that I think about, I grew up, I'm an elder millennial, and I grew up in the age of the kid that was sort of introduced to the concept of mass shootings by Columbine. And the thing about, schools now, right? You have hundreds of kids, if not thousands of kids, that'll go to a single middle school, high school, whatever. I think back in the 40s and 50s, it was very uncommon to have big schools like that. Again, I would need to be fact checked on that, but it was, I'll just use my own home state as an example. In South Dakota, you had sort of country schoolhouses and things like that. Everybody knew each other, and it was harder to have elements where you had disenfranchised groups within the same school. And I want to be careful here. I'm not advocating for segregation or anything like that. But, people, I think it was harder there. Whereas when you get into these bigger schools, just like in cities where it's easier to typically violence happens against people that you know intimately, like your own spouse or your own kids. Of course. We recently saw, unfortunately, here in New Hampshire, some very tragic things that happened, or it's against people that you don't know. Right. Almost like the mentality that a soldier has, like, I don't know the enemy, so it's easier to kill them. I think it works similarly in big cities with gang violence where I don't know the people. Right. And it works similarly in schools where you can, if your graduating class has 800 people in it, you don't know every kid. You don't know each of their families. I think that has something to do with it. Yeah, I think I'm not saying it's all. For sure. It has something to do with it. No, I can agree with that for sure. And again, I'm no expert either. Like, and like you said, like I come from just across the bridge. I'm from Maine, and my elementary school had 75 kids in it, and then from there you go to the school next to us, Wells, and my graduating class had 105 kids in it. So it's like, to me, I'm like, oh, it's a big school, and I hear about all these, and especially in the military or wherever I travel, like, I had 3,200 kids in my school or in my grade. And you're like, what? That's, it's insane. So I agree with you for sure. And there, again, there's so many variables as to what causes X, Y, and Z. And I'm not an expert in them. And as the case with mass shootings, a lot of times the variables are different by each individual case. I'm sure there's through lines that can be looked at. And, this is a show called Subject Matter Expert. Neither of us are subject matter experts on this. I'd be interested in getting somebody on here that could speak to some of those through lines and trends and all that sort of stuff. But I think just, kind of getting back to silencers, it's one of those things where I think people do, especially the casual observer, even the person that maybe grew up shooting, but isn't, they have, they've got all their granddad's lever action in the closet and fairly standard, maybe a fairly standard pistol or something for home defense, but they're not into the nuances of what's the twist rate of this AR versus that. And, for sure. And I think for a lot of those people, they might look at it like, well, why do I need that? And there's actually really compelling reasons for it. Yeah. And maybe it's not something that you personally want to spend money on, but, there's a lot of people that are in non-military, non-tactical applications where there's a real reason to have this. Yeah. And I did a demo in Virginia Beach, actually, with, all civilians. Actually, there were it was a silencer shoot for children. But what I did beforehand was explain what is a silencer, and all their parents are there with them. And it actually ended up being a good thing for marketing because we sold a lot of cans. But what is a silencer? What does it do? And I showed them the difference. We're in an indoor range. I took the can off. I had a honey badger, 7-inch thinner Blackout.
just that cherry bomb. And I told everyone, put your ear pro on, and I ripped 3 rounds off, and there were children crying. Like they all screamed, and there were children with tears because it scared them. And it wasn't even them shooting. I'm, 10 yards ahead of them, and it scared them. And then I put the silencer on and ripped 3 rounds, and all of them, whoa, audible, like, oh, it's crazy. And they all were comfortable. And then we put guns in their hands. We put them on 22s, and a couple of kids shot 5.56 or 300 Blackout later on, but kind of the bigger kids. But we put 22s in their hands, and they all listened and they learned and they had fun because it wasn't scary. All of them actually, I'd hear a couple of them leave and they'd tell her, Dad, if we get a gun, we need to get a silencer. So it's cool. But I mean, if you look at some of the early literature on silencers, like Maxim talked about that. He said it was great for women because they wouldn't flinch, because most of the time the flinch doesn't come from the recoil. It comes from the blast. And he had that mindset as well. And so it makes learning to shoot a lot easier. And it makes shooting more enjoyable. You're not getting that blast. You can spend a day at the range and you don't feel like you have a headache and that your nose is bleeding, and especially on the larger calibers, but it's women
safer. Aren't the only ones that flinch.
No, men.
Like this is something that when you're talking about sort of basic rifle marksmanship could be really, really useful.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, women generally, if you have 2 people that have never shot, women generally will end up shooting better during the day. I think it's a listening thing. I think it's an ego thing. Men, when you instruct men, they go, no, I know how to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that was not a knock at women by any means, but yeah, just in anyone that's learning to fire a gun, it's easier on you. It is legitimately safer for your hearing. And they're a huge benefit. And then on that flip side where people think, well, why does anyone need it? It's like, other than those reasons, like it's not making the gun more lethal. It's not, it's not making your average psychopath into James Bond or, John Wick. It's not doing that. It's most of the people. I mean, we always are hoping like, hey, hopefully that whatever shooting when you hear, and it's terrible to even think, but like guys are checking, oh, did he have a can? Did he have a can? Because we know that anything that can be weaponized against guns will be.
Yep.
And this is just such a stupid thing. I mean, this in and of itself is considered a firearm. When I check this when I fly and stuff, like this is the firearm. It's got a serial number. Like it doesn't do anything. It's a tube with it's a muffler. It is not the enemy. It's not anything. And I'm glad that the barrier of entry is lower now and more people are getting into it, because it's not just beneficial for you, but if I go to the range and like I went to the range recently, I had to zero guns real quick to go to an event. Indoor range, White Birch Armory.
Yeah, been there. Yep.
Yeah. Indoor range, great range. We love going there and all that. And I had a guy, it was just myself and one other guy in there, and he was shooting a 10 mil, the P320, the 10 mil. And he was doing White Birch has like the dancing targets. Like you can choose different things where it'll, a target will charge you or do this and that. And so it wasn't a repetitive, like I couldn't figure out when he was going to fire. And I'm just zeroing guns real quick. And every time he would fire, I was like, please go anywhere else. Like I cannot stand being around it anymore. It just sucks. And it's because I'm spoiled, but so it's not just for you, it's for everyone around you. But yeah, I mean, we could go into all the in-depth with silencers, but as a whole, it's kind of
especially indoors where you get, there's that echo, that overpressure. It just, even a larger space like most shooting ranges are, it's still, especially you're right next to a guy. It just, it's not as pleasant of an experience. You brought up 3D printing. How much, 3D printing versus traditional machining, how much of it is like a really legitimate advancement in the way to make a rifle, and how much of it is hype, I guess? I mean,
there's a trade. There's no free lunch, and that's what we've discovered with everything. With silencers, with the 3D printing, I can't speak to the actual firearms because I don't know much about it. But with silencers, it allows you to do things that you couldn't do before. Like it allows you to create geometry that you can't machine. And in turn, obviously, there are going to be times where that is a benefit. It comes down to cost, at a production level, there's different things like, your DMLS, there's probably better ways to do what you do with DMLS. There's probably a better way to do it or a more cost-effective way or this or that. So I don't think it's all hype. I think there are ways like you can get by with not doing it, but it is absolutely the way of the future. We're already seeing designs with silencers that allow you to do things that you can't do with machined baffles. And they are a legitimate benefit. For us as a company, it comes down to all of the things like, with cans, we talk about innovation and Q talks about being innovative and this and that. And a big thing for us is because of that no free lunch mindset, silencers are a good example. And I saw Ethan Lassard recently draw on the whiteboard. He was explaining it to one of our marketing guys. He was specifically talking about sound suppression and cyclic rate of a full auto gun. And as one goes up, or, you're getting more sound suppression, your cyclic rate will go up. And then because of your gas pressure and this and that. And then, one goes up, the other goes down, or vice versa. And he drew a graph basically. And he explained, he's like, as a company who has to do this on a production scale or a level, we have to find somewhere on this graph that we're happy with. And that's kind of the impetus with all of our guns, especially the silencers. Like, we as a company of guys, we like to hunt, we like to shoot really far, we like our hearing. So it's all things that we like. Sure, we
like our hearing.
Right, yeah. So it's like, it's all things that we enjoy.
Like to retain that.
Exactly. So yeah, we do have that military component, but not everything that we do is for the military. So on the consumer side, it's like, hey, we want to shoot real far, kill stuff, have the minimal POI shift. So that's what we build into the cans. And then we have these graphs where it's like, all right, well, you don't want to overrun the gun. So it's going to have to be a little louder, because if we go if we add the extra baffle or the more this or that into the can to make it quieter, the cyclic rate's going to go up. So there's all these trade-offs, and we have to find where in that we're comfortable. Not only comfortable, but that we like, and that also works at that production level, works for everybody, not just us. And that's a thing that, again, it takes time to figure that out. I mean, they're working every day. Our engineers are at the range. We're lucky. Kevin has bought some property where we can shoot. We have 2 properties now where we can shoot out to like 330, and then we're working on 1,000 or 1,100. Oh wow! Which is hard to do in New England.
I think the only 1,000-meter range, at least around here, is at SIG. I want to say.
I believe so. Yeah. There's a guy who has private property, but he's a strange dude, and
fair enough.
I'm going to stay away from him.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it's hard to do because it's so hilly and rocky and everything here. So
trees,
yeah, and wetland and everything. So it's hard. So, but we have a spot, and so we're able to do that because we care about. For us, none of us were operators. We weren't kicking doors. We work with those guys. We have guys that work for us who were, and that's great because they're kind of liaison to the military side. But for us, like the fix itself, like it's a utilitarian rifle. We like to hunt and do it effectively, essentially. So lightweight, compact, and effective. And then we like to shoot real far. When we go to Africa, the first times that we, Kevin specifically, but all of us, whether it be the engineers or Kevin, or, I went 2 times to help film, and it was on the engineer's first trip. And these PHs, these professional hunters, they're used to the old guy coming with his, $12,000 double rifle with no optic, and he's shooting, he's not even ever shooting beyond 250 yards. And we show up with these little space guns that look like toys, and they look at them like, I don't know about that. And we start, we'll see something at 900 yards or 850 or whatever. And like, okay, hey, that's right there, but we'll have to go down this road, blah, blah, blah. And the engineer goes, no, I'll shoot it right here. And I go, are you sure? And like, yeah, 100%. And our engineer lays down, or Kevin lays down, or one of us, and, cranks the animal at 850, 900, just drops it, because that's what we like to do. And so it actually became a game with these guys, these PHs almost, where it's like, we'd spot something at whatever, 800 yards, 700 yards, and like, hey, you think you can shoot it? And it's like, yeah, man, but can we just, let's try to get a little closer. So it built their confidence that it's this new thing that they've seen. And now at Crusader Safaris, where we hunt, they have, I think, 12 fixes or 10 fixes that we've exported as a company. We exported guns so that people that know of Crusader through Q, and maybe they either don't have the product or they don't want to bring their gun over.
Man, traveling internationally with guns is, I mean, if you've got something like the fix sitting over there for you, I mean, why not?
Exactly.
Like, avoid the hassle.
Exactly. And so they're all kitted up. They've got our silencers over there. So we did an actual export for all that stuff. And so now guys can go over there and use what we use over there. And that's a great place to learn all of the features of the fix and why because I can tell you all day, it's lighter than the competition. It's this.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I wanted to ask is what, so your rifle, the fix, what problem are you solving? Like what was the thing that made you guys want to take this on as a project?
So the Mauser action or Remington 700 style action, those have been around and unchanged for over 100 years now. So basically Kevin, specifically when he was at SIG, he wanted to update that. It hasn't been updated. It hasn't, and not just like little updates, but a complete rebuild. And so what they did at Q, we'll need this later for 8.6. This is a full size fix. This one specifically is an 8-inch 8.6 Blackout. So what's cool about the gun, there's so many different things about the gun. It's going to take me a little while to get through it. But what's cool about this gun is this is also a 308 or a 6.5 Creedmoor, 6mm Creedmoor, 7mm 08, anything with that SR25 pattern magazine. So that AR-10 mag. This happens to be 8-inch 8.6 Blackout. So with all you have to do is swap the barrel on this gun, and now it's you put it on a 308 barrel, 6.5 barrel, whatever. It's the same bolt face, it's the same magazine. So everything.
And just curious, is swapping the barrel, is that an operator level barrel swap, or is that an armor level?
Operator. So you just take this top rail off, take these two screws out, and there's a barrel nut, and you pull your barrel off, put your barrel back on. Wow. You're good to go. We're currently working on a way to do it where you don't have to take your handguard off. You just inside of here, you can just unscrew it, pull your barrel on. It's quicker. But so kind of the main talking points with the fix and where it differs from everything else is the kind of the guts of it all is your action. So it's a 45 degree bolt throw, as traditionally you have 90 degree. Some companies have done 60 degree, which is an improvement, but 45 degree obviously is even shorter. So instead of having to go all the way to 90, you can go 45. This shroud rides on rails like a pistol slide. So other companies have done that, like Merkel and Blaser, but that's really where that connection stops, is just the fact that there is a shroud on rails. A big thing with that Mauser style action, or your traditional bolt gun, is guys will get excited when they go to send the bolt home and they'll lift up a little bit and it'll bind, it gets stuck. It can't do that on this because it rides on those rails. What's cool about this too is that if we pop so it has a folding stock, if we pop the bolt out, normally if you look at the action of like your Remington 700, you have your whole action is your bolt and everything, and your trigger's attached to the bottom. Everything is on this is inside of this bolt. So your sear, your striker, everything is packed inside of this. So if you look at this trigger, it'll be hard to see on camera, but you'll be able to see it. The trigger itself, it's just a horn. It's not connected to a sear or anything. It's just the horn. And all that's doing is pressing on, once you cock it, it's pressing on this pad right here, which is your sear face. And that's what, if I can press it, that's what fires your bolt. Okay. So that horn is just pressing on that sear face. So everything is packed into here. Because it's a 45 degree bolt throw, inherently it's going to be a little heavier bolt lift than normal. The bolt, very similar to an AR-15 bolt, similar extractor, ejector, etc. So we took that action, that 90 degree, that old school Mauser, Remington 700 style action, and improved upon it in a bunch of ways. Like 45 degree is legitimate. It's objectively faster than running a 90 degree bolt. That rail system, that shroud, objectively better. What's cool about this is it's not a chassis gun. It's a one-piece receiver. So the way that it's designed, it has a lot of strength. It's similar to an I-beam, where you're getting strength, that torsion strength. You're getting strength north to south and east to west. Originally, it was designed to be cast, but just in time, we never cast it. We just machined it. So it's machined out of billet 6061 aluminum. So it keeps the weight down. The magazine. So anytime you design a gun, the delivery system is the most important thing. It's usually the hardest thing. So this gun was not designed for specifically the civilian market. It was designed for a military customer. And they were already using SR25 mags at the time. So that's the reason we didn't use that AICS pattern mag. The retention system for AI is kind of a bitch. They already had SR25 mags. You do the SR25 mag, and that gives you that family of the 308, 8.6, and we'll talk about 8.6 in a bit. But so you have that one-piece receiver. The gun itself weighs 5 pounds, so super lightweight. And then obviously the folding stock Initially, it wasn't going to have a folding stock because the lead designer, Nick Schaefer, had never seen one done properly. So Nick worked at Browning Winchester. He did the X-Bolt when he was over there. So super familiar with bolt guns. He had never seen a hinge done properly. So what's cool about our hinge is that it's not a bunch of buttons and stuff. You're actually, there's a coil spring inside of here. You're moving the entire stock down. But what's cool is, so these pads on the inside, there's a little crescent moon there and right there. Over time, they'll polish each other. So it'll get easier to actuate. But if you look on this side, there's this wedge right here. As time goes on, that wedge will wedge farther and farther into itself. So you never get wobble. So like if you look at, there's a company down the road called SIG, and they did a bolt gun called the Cross. And when they came out,
I was going to say, when you look at this, just first blush, if you didn't know what you're looking at, or just peripherally, you're like, oh, it looks like a SIG Cross.
Right. And so SIG did a great job marketing, and they were like, yeah, the Cross, like designed from the ground up and blah, blah, blah. Like, sure, if the ground is made of fixes, sure. People say that we copied SIG. Ours came out 4 years before theirs, so that doesn't really make any sense. They did a 60-degree bolt throw because they couldn't figure out 45. Their stock on the Cross, I will say they fixed it on the long action one. Kudos to them. But their stock is horrendous. My party trick is basically go to any FFL or any gun store that you can find anywhere in the country. Grab a regular SIG Cross, their short action one, the first one that came out. I promise you the stock will wobble north to south, like an inexcusable amount. It's just the design of the hinge. They've since fixed it, but that's my party trick. They also have 2 of our serial numbers. So we all worked there. We still have friends that work there. Like,
I was gonna say, I've got a ton of friends at SIG.
They literally took the fix and took their tape measures out and said, "Oh, we can make that." And they didn't. For the money, that gun's fine, but you can tell.
What is this retail for?
I believe this is $32.99 right now. At the time that we recorded this, I'm sure it'll go up as time goes on, but I believe it's $32.99 right now. So there's only like 2 common parts on this gun, and it's your selector levers, your grip, and the spring that goes in your mag catch. So that's 3, I guess. Everything else was legitimately designed from the ground up, aesthetically as well as function wise. This gun is the ultimate, like, utility. We call it a utility rifle. Is it a PRS gun? No. And I'm obviously I brought the shortest variant. Like we offer.
I bet it's sub-minute of angle though, right?
Yeah.
Like this is an accurate rifle,
absolutely.
No doubt.
Yeah, and so like the standard versions are like a 16-inch 6.5 or 16-inch 308 or 12-inch 8.6. I brought the smallest one just for convenience, but you take your 16-inch 6.5 and you look at it and you go, okay, is it a PRS gun? No. Can you shoot PRS with it? Absolutely. And our guys have done it. Our guys have placed in PRS matches. Is it the ultimate sniper rifle? Depends on who you ask. Like,
and I'll go back and say, hey, you know what? Guys were saying the Mark 17 Scar, like, oh, it's got a folding stock. I can climb easier with this. Yeah. It's sub-minute of angle. Guys were using a Mark 17 as a sniper rifle. So if they can do that, I mean, the bar for it doesn't have to be a match gun to be a sniper rifle.
For sure. And I mean, this thing, like, again, we all like to hunt. Kevin's in Africa all the time. We strap this gun to ourselves like an AR, just on the front. We'll fold the stock and run on the front. In Africa, you're in and out of vehicles all the time. You're surprised. Green Hills of Africa, Hemingway wasn't wrong. It is super hilly. There's a lot of you're gaining altitude very quickly and sometimes losing altitude very quickly. What's cool about that is you throw it on your chest. It's out of the way. You can fight bushes and everything with your hands. And when you need the gun, you just snap it up and start shooting. You don't, at the end of the day, you don't realize you have the gun on you because it weighs so little. This gun right here, this 8-inch 8.6 Blackout, has the capability to take down any animal in the world, to include Cape buffalo, elephant. If people don't believe that, we have footage of it. And you can just go on Kevin's Instagram, and every day he'll post a new photo of something he's killed with 8.6. I promise he'll do it because he does it every day. He shot 20 plus Cape buffalo with 8.6. I can't remember if it was, I know 3 for sure. I'm sure there's been more with Subsonic as well. So
really, that's even more interesting.
Yeah. So 8.6 is also the first Subsonic cartridge to penetrate level 4 armor. Again, people want to say like, they talk about the honey badger, this or that. Yeah, well, Q, they talk about the military all the time. They don't got no contracts, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, just because the dude at, whatever tier 1 element doesn't call your mom and say, hey, tell little Jimmy this is what we're using today, it doesn't mean they're not using it. And that's both domestically and internationally. So the benefits of doing, like, we'll talk hunting. Again, all day you have this gun humping around all day, you don't feel it. The other cool thing, especially, so right now we're working on the Mega Fix, which is a long action version that should be out hopefully beginning of the new year. That first quarter at least. So right now we have the Fix, which is a short action, so you're 308 based. We have the Mini Fix, which is 5.56 based, so 5.56, 300 Blackout, 6 arc, that size, and then the Mega Fix will be your long action. So you'll have your 300 Win Mags, your 375 Rugers, basically all the way up to 375 H&H from my understanding, that true long action. And that gives you the capability. Kevin and the engineers just went to Zambia with the 375 Ruger. They had a 12-inch 375 Ruger, and they were killing Cape buffalo, hippo. Kevin shot another lion, elephant maybe. I can't remember if he shot, probably not in Zambia. But all of these huge animals with this 12-inch gun. And the cool thing, especially with the dangerous game, is that it's magazine fed. So with the Mega right now, we had to make our own magazine because we want to do all of those calibers. But in a gun that weighs nothing, that you can carry around all day, and you can have 4 down and 1 in the pipe, like most of those guys are using double guns, or if they're using a bolt gun, they got 3 rounds total. You can have full magazine capability with a dangerous game gun. Like this gun, and specifically the Mega Fix, like in that 375 Ruger or 416 Ruger, that's going to be the ultimate guide gun. Like guys in Alaska, in Canada, Africa, like the dangerous game guys, the ultimate guide gun. It's light, it's compact, it's out of your way, and you have full magazine capability. Especially when you start talking about cartridges like 8.6 that supersonic and subsonic. But we can get there in a moment. But yeah, so the Fix is completely. People say like, well, you can just shoot a custom whatever, a Remington 700 and it's just as good, or this, like, we're not here for just as good. Like this was something that didn't exist, and it achieves all of the things that we want, and it does certain things objectively better than others. People are always going to complain about something, but like you can put any AR grip you want on there as long as it doesn't have a tang on there. And if it does, just cut it off. It's got our trigger in there, but it's not like I showed you. It's just a shoe. It's different. And this trigger is super consistent. When we're at the factory, when they put these bolts together, we have a machine called the click clack.
Is that the technical term?
I believe so, yes. And it's a box, and it's got a bunch of receivers in it. 4 receivers, I believe. Each box has 4 receivers. They put the bolt in, and it cycles and fires at 200 times. Each bolt. One, it shows if there's any inconsistencies. So if there are any inconsistencies with that sear engagement, they pull the bolt, they throw it. It's not getting used. So you're getting the consistency. It's also that in that 200 times, you're getting a little bit of a break-in period. So it's breaking that gun, and it's giving you the consistency and that crisp feel. Like this, I mean, all the guns, feel free to mess around and pull the trigger, but super crisp trigger. It's 2-stage, and people say, oh, that first stage doesn't count for anything. Shut up, you're an idiot. Just it's slack to take out and know, like, okay, here's my wall. Super crisp trigger. It's light, 2.5, maybe 3 pounds. And again, you get a little heavier bolt lift, but it's at 45. We can cycle these as fast, if not faster, than the straight pull, like that Blauser R8 straight pull. I can see just how you're doing it right there. You're not having to wrap your arm all the way around to get that all the way back and pull back. Right. And one thing is, it will cause people to cycle their gun a little differently. If you're used to a 90 degree, like a Mauser or Remington, you're used to that, a lot of guys will palm it. And probably because with that 90 degree, if you have an optic, you will smash your fingers into the bell of the optic with that 90 degree throw. So guys, I think, have just done the palm to stay out of the way. This one, it kind of forces you to pinch and run it. But in doing so, I mean, the throw is simple, and we can just, every time we fire, like, I mean, I'm hitting a thing, but like it's 2 movements.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, more than welcome to mess around with it just to feel that cycle and feel the safety's off, but feel the trigger too, like, and it's going to be consistent. It takes a little bit to get used to. So the stock's completely adjustable. You can do all that, but so it tricks people a little bit because they're used to going higher, or whatever. But so it takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do,
is that enough to cycle right there? Can you keep almost?
You would have to basically flick it back because it does have, you do have to get it all the way out of there, but. So after a while, obviously, just like anything else, you'll get used to it. And this is
probably getting annoying for the audio people. But just not watching the video.
Head, yeah, what is that? But the same can be said with our trigger, like our AR trigger. Mm-hmm. So like similar 2-stage take up, crisp wall. The reset on this is what gets everyone because it's not super tactile and it's very short. Mm-hmm. So most people will miss it. Well, I just probably need to cycle it, but if you want, you can mess with that. So this trigger takes forever to get used to. I'd say forever. It doesn't, but one day on the range you'll be used to it. But because people are used to like a Geisley or a mil-spec trigger where it throws your finger forward, they often miss. Like there's the reset, and they miss it, or they'll short stroke or whatever. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but definitely make sure you feel the reset on that. Because it is so short. So crisp trigger. So once you pull your trigger, hold your trigger back still. So safety off, hold it back. Even right now, hold it back. So pull your trigger, hold it, re-rack it, and then slowly let your trigger out. So rack it while your trigger's pulled, and then slowly let your trigger out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so... And it's ready to fire, yeah. So the reset's really short and it's not super tactile. So once you do get used to it, you can shoot it really fast. But that's everyone's first complaint is like, oh, I can't feel the reset, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you just got to shoot it more and get comfortable with it. But one gripe with the fix, in the larger calibers at 308, 6.5 is recoil. Mm-hmm. So a can will mitigate your recoil a lot. It'll actually neuter a lot of that recoil. And so we shoot suppressed anyway, but one thing that it is a product of being a lightweight gun is light guns are not easy to shoot. So we get a lot of guys that, grew up in the Midwest or down south and their Uncle Larry taught them how to shoot and this and that. And they call us, hey, my gun's shooting 3 inches. All right, send us your ammo and your gun and we'll shoot it. We get it and we shoot 3/4 of an inch. We send it back. Hey, we use your ammo. Here's your group, blah, blah, blah. And they go, they shoot it. I can only get 2.25 inches now. All right. Well, it's not easy to tell someone like, hey man, you just don't know how to shoot. Mm-hmm. And maybe they do. Maybe they shoot their 30-06, their Model 70 30-06 lights out, but this is a lightweight gun and it acts differently. So like, this is the first gun, and I thought I was crazy or just shooting terribly, which is probably the actual case, but, other people said it and it validated my thoughts. But the first gun I was shooting the 308 fix 16 inch, and in my recoil, I could feel it twist. So instead of just a straight back recoil, I was feeling the gun twist. It's that light that it's, the bullet is coming out twisting. I assume it's equal and opposite, react, and that's something you have to overcome is know like, oh, in the recoil. And so like, depending on how you shoot, if you're trying to input minimal human input into the gun, like it's going to do that. Something you have to overcome. But so to just pick up a 5-pound 308 or 6.5 and think you're going to be the next American sniper, it's not realistic. You have to train with it. You have to shoot it. With 8.6, that's its own world and we can get into it, but kind of finishing up on the fix, like lightweight, compact, out of the way, super effective. It's an accurate gun for our shorter barrels. We kind of do it with everything, but we do a faster twist to stabilize, because we're big on supersonic and subsonic, those capabilities. So it stabilizes those big, heavy subsonic bullets. Fully adjustable stock, so you can adjust length of pull, your cheek weld. You also, if you're shooting uphill or downhill, you can adjust your back plate.
Wow.
So with just a push button. So it's just like, it's very similar to like a 320 mag release. So we also offer the big butt too. So this is to keep it lightweight, pretty slim point of contact. So if you're shooting high recoil,
I was gonna say there's an elk in Utah that's still running around out there because I was at a real high angle and couldn't get the right cheek to stock weld.
Yeah. So, like shooting downhill, shooting uphill, like that, it's huge. And we were just at the FTW ranch out in Texas and doing some high angle stuff. And I mean, shooting uphill, it's such a help. So yeah, fully adjustable. A T25 will take this whole gun down with the exception of the barrel nut. So, but we sell a tool. It's called the fixed tool. It comes with a T25 bit and you can use the tool as the driver. So you're not going to get your torque specs, but you're going to get close enough to where we sponsored a woman who did an antelope hunt in Wyoming for the Wyoming Women's Antelope Hunt. And she had a 308 and she said, "Hey, I've got a 6.5 barrel. Can you help me swap my barrel? I want to shoot 6.5 on the antelope." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So on the back of her husband's truck, I took her gun down, swapped the barrel with just that tool, just the fixed tool. T25 takes everything off, barrel nut with the tool, put everything back on. She zeroed the gun, went and shot an antelope. So like the idea is to be able to do it on the bed of your truck or on a picnic table or whatever. How many people realistically do that? I don't know. Most people will buy the gun and they just go, they'll buy the extra barrel and they're like, "Nah, I'll just get the other gun. Like I want to keep this gun." So it's up to you, but if you want
people
to,
hate going and having to re-zero their rifle.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah. Which I get it. And that's the thing with silencers. Like we're trying to educate people where it's like, people ask us, "Oh, hey, do you have like a whatever 46 cal or 46 bore can or whatever?" Because they want to buy a can and put it on all their guns. And that's not the way to do it. If it were up to us, we would only do direct thread cans because it's the best way. It's minimal tolerance stacks. Everything's aligned. You can fit another baffle or two. Like you can make them quieter. So realistically, like the way that we explain to people is like 1 can per gun. You put the can on your gun, you leave it there and you just never take it off. Like, or you keep it with that gun. Ultimately that's not how things happen. We wish it did, but but that's our thing. And that's why we make our cans the way that they are. So the 30 cal cans, they work great on 5.56, whatever, but they're designed to be on the 30 cal guns. Same with 8.6 cans. Like sure, we make muzzle devices to where you can put it on your 300 Blackout or 308 and it'll work, but it's not what it's made for. But yeah, the fix, to kind of just wrap everything up, it is its own thing. One piece receiver. I don't know any other company that does a 45-degree bolt throw. I might be out of the loop and someone might correct me on that or whatever, but just the magic that goes into this bolt in and of itself is insane.
No, it felt good. As I cycled through a couple times there, it's like I could really see myself just getting used to it after 10 times.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you spend some time on the range with this. I think you get right into it and it feels good.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, a testament to the speed too is we'll get you out on our range, and what we do is usually at 300 to 500, we'll like, especially with subs, we'll have you just kneel against a rock or sit on a tripod, whatever, fire a round, cycle it, fire another round before the first round impacts steel. It's just a fun game that we do with everyone. The first couple times you're like so close, and then you get addicted. You're like, I have to do it. And you realize very quickly, like, oh, it's not that hard because it cycles so fast. It's not that hard to do. And we'll definitely have some chuckles as you do it.
It's not hard with me. I'm already a large gangly human. So anything that I do, even if I'm doing it the right way, it looks a little bit funny. So yeah.
And that's what's cool. Like, I mean, we can transition into kind of 8.6 and because the other platform has to do with 8.6 too, but
I mean, this is a really impressive rifle. Again, just the things that I was excited about talking about today is just seeing these in person and the innovation and the thought that goes into these is really impressive. And I'm just glad that we have these here. You asked, you're like, "Hey, should I bring some stuff in?" And they're like, "Yeah, I think so," because just being able to actually hold and feel and see, it's one thing to talk about a 45 versus 60 degree bolt. It's another to actually feel it,
right?
And of course, the people watching or listening don't get to feel it themselves. You're gonna have to take my word for it there, but it's really cool to actually have these right here in front of us.
Another talking point that I just overlooked was our attachment system. So Q-Cert, so real original name, Kevin. But people see it looks similar to like something that Knights did a long time ago or whatever, but what we're able to do with Q-Cert is take weight out and actually add strength. So each one of these little junctions is a steel insert that's inserted from the inside. We make the Q-Cert handguard for standard ARs or our ARs as well. That one has M-LOK, but one easy way to compare to everything is if you take our 15-inch Q-Cert handguard that goes on an AR M4, and you compare that to like the Geisley Mark 16, the URGI handguard, super popular right now, pretty lightweight, pretty stiff. Their 15-inch with the barrel nut is 16 ounces, right on a pound. Our 15-inch handguard with a barrel nut and about 30 pieces of steel is 11 ounces.
Wow.
It's also it's way stiffer. The percentage stiffer, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's legitimately stiffer than that M-Lock. And any deflection that you would get or that you do get out of it, it returns to zero 8 times faster than the M-Lock. Mm-hmm. So it's lighter, it's stronger, and it returns to zero faster, all while adding steel.
Where's the rear attachment point here? Not on this side, obviously.
For like a sling.
Yeah.
So we are anti-QD slot. So we go here. So I have a sling on that bag actually, but so we did we have our sling called the G sling, whatever, but we were all using paracord anyway. Mm-hmm. So now we just have this attachment called a Sling Devil, and it's basically like a cleat for a ship. And it allows you to run paracord through something, cleat it to that thing, and you can take your sling on and off. But the issue with QD points, so like there's one on that just because it's overmolded. I see
the one here, yeah.
So the issue with it is that I don't know if it was Uncle Mike's was the first person to do it. I want to say they were, which is crazy. But they never released the drawings. So every company that's made QD attachments since then has just reverse engineered it, and they don't know what the tolerances are. So that's why you could go buy 5 different QD sling swivels and put them into the same QD slot. Mm-hmm. Some of them will rotate all the way, some will rotate at all, some will rotate, a quarter turn or whatever. It's because no one knows what the true tolerance is. And all of us have had them fail. Mm-hmm. Like we've been standing there and boom, your gun drops and you go, whoa, what's going on? It's just because it's not, there's no proper tolerancing. They're also bulky, they're loud. So we did a video for one QD cup and swivel, it would take 62 of our Sling Devils to make the same weight. Mm-hmm. So ours is way lighter. It doesn't rattle. Like we don't like rattly shit. We like, again, all killer, no filler. Everything you need, nothing you don't. The least amount of parts to get you to where you need to be, because the more parts is more weight, more things to go wrong. So
speaking of rattle, these fucking things, I'm sorry that I know you're noticing it bounce.
Yeah.
I think it's the table or whatever, but either way, these arms are not like the nicest arms in the world. Right, yeah. I'm a startup over here, dude. So like I didn't get this, and I noticed it, and it's just like it's bouncing. And I know for people that are watching this episode, it distracts a little bit. Yeah. I'm thinking about like switching back to just the stands or something like that.
Works,
but I just want to say, it's just like you're sitting here talking about rattling. Meanwhile, my equipment over here is just fucking bouncing all over the place.
It's no worries. You can learn from the little cute ways. This is cool. This is this dope sticker from Subcheck Security LLC. A bunch of guys up in Washington and Oregon. Cool dudes, but they did this specifically for supers and subs. So you can have your super dope and your sub dope. And we can talk about that with it, because that was 4.86. But yeah, I mean, everything we do, the impetus one, create a system, all killer, no filler, everything you need, nothing you don't. Utilitarian. We actually use our products. People try to claim, Q guns are safe queens. Like, brother, I've killed more stuff with my Q guns than you will ever see in your life. So, one, I get it. You can't afford it. So you've never shot it. I get it, but you go use it. Our moniker is like magic ain't cheap. They're not super affordable guns. If you ask Kevin, he's like, man, I should be charging, 4 times what I charge for them.
I was going to say, you don't, I mean, that's the thing with these is you guys know who your market is, though. You're not trying to make these mass market rifles that you pick up at your local Walmart or, whatever. Like, that's not who your target consumer is with these. And you guys don't try to pretend like it's otherwise.
No. And I mean, even like price point wise, you think about it. So the Boombox, which is our semi-auto 8.6 platform, and I have one, we can talk about it. We talk about 8.6. It's $4,400, $4,399 MSRP. And when you hear that, you go, whoa, that's crazy. That's super expensive. Sure, it is. But it's an AR-10 platform. It's basically an AR-15 that takes AR-10 mags. It's the most reliable AR-10 platform on the market. The AR-10 is inherently not a reliable design, but if you compare it to anything that you would even consider comparable, you look at like the LMT Mars H, it's $5,300. Some variants of the Scar are still almost $5,000.
Oh yeah.
If you can find an SR25 right now, it's going to cost you $6,000, and that's if you can even find it. So it's like, sure, it's expensive for the average person, but you compare it to all the other guns in its weight class, quote unquote, and they're not, because they're way heavier.
You look at just any broaden it out outside of like AR style platforms, like, you know, if you go get a bolt rifle from Christensen, it's going to go what, 10, 11, 12 grand.
You can get up there, and the Christensen won't shoot either, but the like Gunworks, super popular, like pretty custom gun makers. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna spend $8 grand, $9 grand on it, and sure, it's gonna shoot lights out, but it's gonna be, and it might be lightweight, but it'll probably be heavier than ours. It doesn't have the folding stock. It's a Mauser action. It is what it is. You're probably gonna love the gun. It's probably gonna go lights out. But you put this in your hands and you go hunt with this. Like, we have guys come over when we're in Africa. You know, there's a guy brought I won't say his name because I like him a lot. But he brought a gun over, and it was just a standard. It might've been a Savage or a Remington or whatever. It was a fine gun. It was a mid-tier bolt action. I'm sure it was super accurate. And he had that SIG BDX, scope on there. So it's linked to your binos and this and that. And 4 days in a row, he missed a kudu. And that was just, he was having an issue with the whatever. Kevin was just like, hey man, take my gun. He gave him, Kevin has this like famous blue and gold fix that he has, a 6.5. And, he's like, take my gun, go shoot whatever. All he did was go to the range just to familiarize himself with the gun, set the gun up to himself, went out that day, smacked a kudu, everything was good. And he didn't want to he kept taking the gun to go hunt with, because he realized, like, not even the sighting thing, but it's so, once all of our guns, if you can shoot them, they sell themselves. I can tell you all day, this gun shoots great. And it's quiet and it's this and that until you go shoot it. It's just words. But when you get that experience, you realize, oh man, this is objectively better than what I was doing before. Movie quiet, super smooth the cycle. I can shoot it fast. It doesn't like 8.6 shooting subs recoils like 300 Blackout. You know, and we'll talk about it. It's shooting a big projectile, and it's nothing. You know, it's such a weird experience, and you go shoot it, and it will sell itself. I mean, I'm sure it's the same way as, like, you know, you go drive your uncle's best friend's Corvette, and you're like, wow, this is cool. And then you go drive an F1 car, and like, whoa, this is, one, like you said, maybe I'm not ready for it, but two, you're like, oh, this is its own world. Yep. And that's what shooting these platforms are. They're their own world. And that's what we want them to be. But the other thing too is all of our stuff, like the muzzle drawings and stuff, like our tapers, like we open source everything. You can go find our drawings on our website. We're not hiding anything. Because the thing is like, if you want to copy it, well, like, we're going to give you our drawings because you still got to do it better than us. Like, we're not trying to hide anything, and we'll give it to you because we'd rather you do it right than jack it up. Same with 8.6. Like, people ask, like, why don't you do royalties for like 300 Blackout or 8.6 or whatever? And it's like, Kevin's like, I'm not trying to make money off ammo. It's like 8.6 it's a legitimate asset, and I want everyone to use it. Like, I want everyone to be able to use it and do that. So go do that. It's open source.
Let's get into 8.6. I mean, anybody that knows anything about shooting has probably heard of 300 Blackout before. Certainly people have heard of other, 30 caliber rounds out there, 300 Win Mag. There's all sorts of different ones that are out there, you know, but specifically when we're talking about 8.6 Blackout, it's is it fair to call it a one-off of 300 Blackout, or it's an improvement on 300 Blackout? How would you describe that?
Yeah, I mean, it's an improvement. It's the big brother to 300 Blackout.
Okay.
So Kevin and Ethan did 300 Blackout at AAC, so that's their baby. Ethan had already started working on 300 or what would become 8.6. I believe he started at AAC, if not. And he started with 338 Federal. Which is an ass kicker. It's a good round, but super crazy recoil. And so one thing that I'm going to bring this up beforehand just because I have a magazine, which is nice. But so why did 338 Federal great? Why did it start with that? And why people always ask us all the time, 375 Ruger, or not Ruger, 375 Raptor. Why don't you do 375 Raptor is better? It's this, is that. 375 Raptor is a great killing round, and it's probably got more energy than 8.6. But the thing with 8.6, so what makes 8.6 Blackout super cool is you can take an SR25 mag, and if you look inside of these magazines, there's these ribs on the inside.
Okay.
That's to, it's to help, especially on on a metal mag, you see the ribs on, it's to help strengthen the magazine. When you take a 308 bullet and put it in there, everything's good to go because it was designed for that magazine. When you take a 375 Raptor, those mags, because of the diameter of the bullet of that ogive, those ribs on the mags, they rub against it and it will knock the bullets in a little bit, or one or two, whatever. So when you go into an AR style or a double feed barrel extension, those feed ramps, it'll hit the feed ramp wonky and it won't go in. So it's not reliable. And some guys will build a 375 Raptor and be like, my gun's reliable. Sure, now go make 2,500 of them or 5,000 of them and tell me they're all reliable. They're not. And this is because of how science is. Not a big deal. Science sucks sometimes. What's cool and coincidental about the 338 is if you take a 308 bullet, the diameter of the neck turns out to be 0.338. And that's where those ribs are. So if you just shorten that neck, drop the neck back, you have this bullet. The neck now is not touching those ribs, but the bullet is 338.338. So it's the same size as the neck would be anyway. So it's not pushing it out of the way or anything. It fits the mag properly. So you can get the overall length proper to where it's like, I can just pop this in and the overall length is the same as a 308.
Yeah.
And the part that's touching that rib is 338. So the magazine knows no different and it just slides it into the feed ramp properly. So that's why we went with that diameter and all that, because of the magazine. Your delivery system is the most important thing, because you can have the killingest round in the world, but if you can't deliver it into the gun, it is no use. So essentially 8.6 Blackout is 300 Blackout times 2, if not times 3. That's what we say. So it is a 338 bullet. I just brought this one so I can pull it apart, but this is a 300 grain Sierra Match King. So it's a 338 projectile, similar to like your 338 Win Mag or 338 Lapua, same bullet. And we put it in a shortened 6.5 case, shortened and opened up 6.5 case. So you start with a 6.5 Creedmoor. You can do it with 308, but 6.5 Creedmoor was easier. But start with a 6.5, shorten it, open it up, and then shove a 338 bullet in there. And you get 338 Blackout or 8.6 Blackout. We almost did 338 Blackout. We've almost named it a few things. What you're getting with this is the same thing you're getting with 300 Blackout, where you get your subsonic and your supersonic capabilities in one platform. So it's doing everything 300 Blackout can do, but way better. So if same idea where it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you have to go into this house and there's going to be dudes shooting at you. You're by yourself. Do you want to take an MP5 SD that's throwing 380s at them? Or do you want a Honey Badger that's throwing full rifle capabilities? You're probably going to choose the full rifle capability. Well, now I'm going to send you that same house and you have 300 Blackout. Do you want that? Or do you want, your 220 grain 300 Blackout? Or do you want your 350 grain 8.6? Yeah.
Cause that's a beefy bullet.
Yeah.
Like
so
that's a big boy.
Right. So this is a 300 grain Sierra Match King. This is just, we shoot, target with. For supersonics, we're shooting anywhere up to about 400 grain projectiles. Very commonly we shoot 342s, 350s, and we'll get into, I have one expanded and we'll get into it, but that's your subsonic. Your supersonic, we're doing anywhere from 185s, 180s to 19, like your 220 grain. Like we shoot a lot of that Barnes 210 TSX, kill a lot of stuff with that.
Okay.
And that's a supersonic. So what's cool is your capabilities for hunting. You can take a 12-inch 8.6 fix or a boombox, whatever. That 12-inch barrel, you can shoot subsonics and easily kill stuff out to, that 350, 400 range. The thing is, if you can get the bullet there, it will kill it. So a way to quantify that is like out of that 12-inch gun, if you're shooting subsonic at 600 yards on target, it has more energy than a 1911 point blank. So that 45. So if you can get the bullet there, it's going to kill. What's cool with subsonic at distance is it doesn't go transonic. So the bullet behaves you can predict what it's going to do. One point of not contention, but a thing that people talk about a lot is because it's so heavy, they go, whoa, well, it drops off a lot and spin drift because we spin it real fast, but they go, well, it drops a lot. Yeah, but it's a constant. You should be getting dope on every rifle anyway.
Yeah.
It's a thing you can put in your ballistic calculator or your dope card and know. So it's like, who cares what the drop is? Just get a 12 mil, like a 20 or 40 MOA.
It doesn't impact the shooter if they have to hold differently.
No.
Your hold off is just, it doesn't matter.
And the average person, that's something that we forget a lot of the times because we shoot stuff. Like I shot a blessed bucket 1,100 yards in Africa. Like we shoot far a lot. The average person is not shooting beyond 400 yards to kill
not
things.
Capable of shooting beyond 200 in most cases.
A lot of people,
skill-wise.
Right. And like a lot of like, even the hunters out west, like the elk guys, the sheep guys, like they're shooting 500, maybe 600, maybe. And most of them are not even doing that, which is fine. So we have to remember, like inside of those ranges, you don't have to worry about, like the drop is not, with subsonic, it's a different story. It's kind of like archery hunting where it's like, instead of every 25 yards for your dope, you need to know every 5 to 3, maybe. Out past a certain distance, each yard really matters. Cause you're throwing a 400 grain bullet out there that doesn't have the highest ballistic coefficient. So you got to pay attention to your dope. That said, when you hit things, it's devastating. So along with, similar to what we did with 300 Blackout, we did a fast twist with 8.6. So
what is the twist?
Our commercial twist is 1 in 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So your standard 308 is like a 1 in 10, 1 in 11. These are 1 in 3. So every 3 inches, you're getting a full rotation. So what's cool about that is with an expanding bullet, and I'll bring that in next. If you look at the average person, side to side, like armpit to armpit, about 16 to 18 inches. If you shoot a 308 at them from the side, they just had they didn't have their hands up. They weren't surrendering. They were doing pull-ups or something. And you shot them, or they were grabbing their rifle. That's why you shot at them. They're grabbing the rifle. You shot them side to side. With a 308, once it enters them, hopefully it expands. Once it expands, you're getting, realistically, 1 in, not maybe 1.5 full rotations before it exits them. Say it exits them, maybe 1.5. With a 1 in 3, the bullet's going to expand pretty much immediately, and it's going to rotate 5 times and some change inside of you. So you have this blender blade that's going inside of you, rotating 5 times before it maybe exits, or maybe it doesn't exit, dumps all its energy. So the hemorrhaging that you're getting is insane. That temporary wound channel is insane. I mean, you're spinning with a super, you're spinning something at 500,000 RPMs. So the fast twist, where it comes into play and what we've been learning about, people haven't thought about it in a long time because you think of energy as a linear function. So you have to stop the bullet from going forward and backward. We also have to stop it from spinning too. And with our supers, I want to say they were talking about the 210 Barnes. Our head engineer, or one of our engineers, one of the chief engineers, did the calculation, and basically he found that with the 1 in 3 twist, with that supersonic bullet, 17% of total energy on target was rotational, which is huge. It's a huge amount of energy that people don't think about. They just think about forward and backward. And so what you're losing in that muzzle velocity, or the energy from that muzzle, that velocity, it's not that you're gaining it in rotational, but you're making some of it up with that rotational energy. So if you look at the tests between like a 1 in 7 twist and a 1 in 3 twist on gel, Discrete Ballistics has posted some. I mean, the temporary wound channel is, double, if not 3 times, sometimes 4 times the size of the other twists, just because of that energy.
And so you think just practically for your special operator that's using this and real combat operations, it's going to take less rounds to put an enemy combatant down. And for a hunter, it's, you don't have to worry about a follow-up shot as long as you hit the animal even remotely near vitals. You're going to do what you need to do.
If you hit the vitals and structure too, because that's another thing, especially with subsonic, people have this tendency to think like, oh, I'll shoot just behind the shoulder because I don't want it to hit the shoulder. It's going to go through that shoulder. Like I shot a bison. Granted, I was using supers, but I shot a bison in Utah at my first shot was at 160 yards, and it was quartered toward me. The round went in, and I put it in between it was in vitals. It hit the heart. So I didn't hit structure, but it went in and it exited by the rear hip. So it went through almost 5 feet of animal and still exited, and we couldn't find the bullet, like somewhere in the ether. So the subsonics still will punch through, especially at distances like, you're 200, 300 yards. It's going to punch through, even closer, obviously, it'll punch through that structure. So if you hit structure and vitals, animal's just going to sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be, it's going to be dead quiet. Like, you can shoot an animal out of a pack or a herd, and most of the time the other ones, they might scurry around, but they don't know what happened. They just know something dropped. Then when you get into on the military side, the ability to have subsonic armor piercing. We posted some videos of some some HEI rounds. So it carries ordnance now. That's super interesting because it's giving insane capabilities to this compact package that is movie quiet. And you have, if you got to go outside and fight down the street, you can do that too. You get a full rifle capability.
Yeah. These, when you think about being able to be armor piercing at a level 4 plate, these are things when we talk about how the military has to readjust to the new realities of near peer, or large scale combat operations, right? Against other, established militaries that are going to have plate carriers on and things, that not necessarily the same situations you're going to find yourself in a counterinsurgency or counterterrorism operation when you're going against other, force on force militaries. Capabilities like this come into play. And so when we talk about, and this is a whole other tangent, but when we talk about, how the military has to adjust, and we think drone warfare, we think, 5th generation fighter jets, we think about armor, these other things, we still got to remember it's still going to be the infantry,
100%.
The ground soldier, right?
Yep.
I say infantry is a broad term. People have to take and hold ground.
Yep.
And that's going to, that person, their main means of taking and holding that ground is their rifle and their ammunition.
Yep.
And so if you have to use less ammunition and it's more effective against other people that are maybe similarly protected as you, that's a game changer.
100%. And unlike, the 277 stuff, the 6.8 stuff that SIG's doing, like that's its own magazine. This is the magazines they already have. Your kit's already set up for it.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
You're getting full, this is a 10 rounder. The boombox, we shoot the 20 rounders. You're getting full magazine capability or capacity. So nothing changes. If you were already used to carrying, 5 mags full of 308, this weighs the same. You're not changing. You don't have to shift. You don't have to create a new warrior on the battlefield. It's the same guy, and you're giving him a platform that he's used to. It's got AR ergonomics. We'll just bring it out, but the boombox is, we say it's an AR-15 that takes AR-10 mags. So this is a 12-inch, but it's a 8.6 Blackout. Same idea as the fixed, where you can swap barrels and do 308, 6.5, 6 mil, whatever. You swap your stock, have like a DMR style gun. But this gun weighs under 6 pounds. Wow. It's same idea. This is the short chop. We have the pork chop, which is the longer of the two. This is an unbelievable capability. You just took the Marines are all carrying those M27s, the IARs. It's a heavy gun. Granted, they're shooting 5.56 with them for the most part, but you take that gun and give them this, it's already lighter. So, okay, maybe they have to swap their rigs and put, SR25, 20 round SR25 mags in it. But otherwise the gun weighs nothing. It's either familiar with the ergonomics or the controls. Everything is the same. You're just adding capability. Plus more, like we do a full length top rail on this. So for your guys, with clip-on night vision or laser aiming modules or things like that, you don't have to worry. You can run this optic anywhere on it. You can bridge the gap. You can do whatever. You don't have to worry about that. The wear points on this steel, like steel inserts on this side where your charging handle is. So during testing, this gun ended up being like a 3-year project. So during testing, every charging handle that Mitch tried during the firing cycle would come open and hit him in the teeth. Eventually you will look like a jack-o'-lantern. So people say, "Oh, that doesn't do that." Go shoot an MP7 full auto. It's going to come open every 3rd, 4th round. It just does. That's how it is. So Mitch designed a completely different charging handle with steel inserts, like steel hooks itself and a steel insert. So you're not wearing on the aluminum. There's a little there's a little O-ring back here. People think that's for gas. It's just to create tension so that you get a solid lock on that. Q-Cert forend again, super stiff handguard. Q-Cert, our ability to put whatever little accessories on there. You're getting all those same things with your muzzle devices and that with your tapers and your alignment. So you're getting all the things that we know are tried and true and that people enjoy. Now we have a 12-inch 1 and 3 twist barrel. So with this gun, shooting supersonics, you have the capability to shoot. Like I've got dope on my 12-inch 8.6 fix. I've got dope to 700 with supers. So the things that you were used to doing with your IAR or your Mark 18 or your 14.5 URGI, whatever, you can still do with this, but it's going to work better. And you can mess around with this gun. That's an AR-10. Find me an AR-10 that weighs the same, that feels the same.
It really is insane. How do you?
Just the one with a one side. Yeah.
The one side.
Yep. So, I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, okay, well, find me the comparable gun. And you can't. I mean, Ruger has the SFAR, POF has whatever their gun is. And sure, they're reasonably light and compact and smaller framed, but they eat themselves at a fraction of the round count that this thing does. It's got the same trigger that is in the Honey Badger, that literally the best trigger ever made. What's cool about that is normally on an AR-10 platform, the trigger pocket gets jacked up. It's just a different size. Our trigger pocket is AR-15 size. So if for any reason you didn't like literally the best trigger ever made, you can put whatever AR-15 trigger in there you want. Again, it's a direct impingement system, so it's reliable. It's easy to fix if anything goes wrong.
Why is there no dust cover?
That's a good point of contention. Same with the Honey Badger. So people trip out over that, and
I'm sure there's a good reason. I'm curious.
The good reason based on statistics and the studies that have been done by guys that shoot people for a living, a dust cover will create exponentially more malfunctions than it will ever prevent. It prevents one malfunction basically. If the spring, on your dust cover gets smoked, it just flaps around, can cause malfunctions, can cause failure to eject and that kind of stuff. So the short answer is you just don't need it. It causes more than it induces. If it were, people say, well, that's not true. What if I'm, in the desert extracting a helicopter? I'm like, bro, you've never even seen a helicopter. Shut up. That's it. I get where people are coming from, the dust and all that. But if it were necessary, every time you fired the trigger, it would close itself back up. Kevin always says, like, look at the FAL, look at the MP5, look at the G3. Those don't have dust covers. Granted, different operating system, whatever. But in reality, if you keep that gun wet, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So again, also it's less weight.
I mean, that being said though, is this something, let's just say you are doing a helicopter infill into a dusty, deserty place, and now you got to be out there for 2-3 days. Let's say you do, get that kind of like gummed up in there on that initial thing there because you had it nice and wet, and now that dust is sticking to it a little bit. Is that something you're going to be comfortable with for the next 2, 3, 4, 7, 10 days?
Right. And
without being able to do anything more than just field maintenance of wipe the bolt down real quick?
Yeah. And that comes back to that, who is our target audience, where it's like the guys that have been testing these and that we made the gun for, if they're on target for 2 days, something went wrong. That said, should you be able to do it? Sure, of course, whatever. But there's no intention to make this the next IAR or the next, whatever SIG's trying to do. We're not looking for big army contracts.
You're not trying to make this the standard infantry rifle.
Nope. It was not designed for that. And that's not what we want anyway. So it kind of sounds like a cop-out to be like, oh, well, if they're there for 3 days, then something went wrong, because that can happen. But that's not what it's designed to do.
Yeah, I think about more of these, 2010, 2011, you had these like Team Merrill missions where they go out for 3-4 days at a time. Or you think early in Afghanistan, the AFO type missions where, again, just out for a long time. And those are all tier 1, tier 2 type missions. And so you think about that. I mean, it's a leading question because I wouldn't actually be seriously concerned, because there is always the option, if you're out there that that amount of time, there's plenty of time to pull a bolt out real quick and wipe it down real quick. Like,
for sure.
So it's actually not a real concern in my opinion. And I bet this gun could get plenty dirty and still function.
100%. I mean, I'll pop this one open. We have a bad habit at Q of not always cleaning our guns. So again, we talked about recoil systems.
Mm-hmm.
This is entirely different than most people have ever seen. This gun's actually not bad. It's dirty, but it's not bad. So inside of there is just a hollow tube. There's a plug at the end that you can't really see in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
so there's not a catch for the buffer too?
Nope, there's just a plug with a little nipple on it, so this doesn't slide around in there. It's just the nipple sits in there. So what you get is your 2-piece bolt carrier. I'll drop this right here. Charging handle action. I'll just leave that there so you can see it if you want. But so this is that dead bolt or dead blow hammer style. It's got a bunch of tungsten beads in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I can. Yeah, you can hear it. Not this rattle, but
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whatever. Sounds like a little rattlesnake. So there's tungsten beads in there that act like a dead blow hammer, so you don't get bolt bounce as soon as it slams home. To take this apart, it's just this one pin. Pop it out. See, the gun is dirty. This recoil system, extremely reliable.
Mm-hmm.
The engineers that get paid more than me are the ones that figured that out. I saw the test cycle on these guns and it was unbelievable. The round counts. I want to say there's a gun that has 25,000 rounds on it that has never had a malfunction so far. Like not 25 in one sitting,
mm-hmm.
but I think between, sessions, I think this got 25,000 and it's never had a malfunction. Adjustable gas, all that. But again, like all of the stuff that could break, your lugs, your gas rings, cam pin, gas key, all that is all replaceable. So if for whatever reason you had an issue and you couldn't get to us and get whatever, you can throw, if you can stake your own gas keys, I guess. But yeah, entirely proprietary, but it works.
Well, and are those all the T25?
This is not, no. But I mean, you pull it apart just like any other bulk carrier. Once you pop, this pin is your firing pin retaining pin as well.
Mm-hmm.
So once you pop that pin, you take the two apart, firing pin comes out, turn your cam pin, pull your cam pin out, or cam pin retaining pin, or cam retaining pin, whatever. And then pull your bolt out and everything's all the same.
Wow.
So, and that was out of necessity and just because like there's things that we didn't like about the other one. And to put it all together, it's pretty simple. It's just, I'll put it in the upper. The other version was a little harder, but just take your little charging handle like normal, put it in the guide. And you just got to push it over to the hammer and it goes back together.
I mean, I'm not a guy that's going out and checking out every single rifle variant out there or anything like that. This is probably the first time I've ever seen a system like that before.
Yep.
I there's nobody else that's doing the
not like that.
Like it's just wild when you first took it apart. I was like, oh shit, did I do something to make it come apart like that? And then
so that happens in gun stores all the time. Is guys will like on the Honey Badger or whatever, they'll pop the rear pin, try to shotgun it open, and see this bundle of springs and they're like, oh, I screwed something up.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. You got to slide the uppers off and the upper and lower off, but it works. It's super reliable and it's fairly simple. So it's not anything like. A lot of times people think it's a piston gun because they don't see like a buffer in here and it's just that one mass on the carrier. So it's not, it's direct impingement, adjustable gas, all that. So again, it's taking the AR-15. I mean, you felt the weight. It weighs this. It weighs less than like a Mark 18.
Yeah.
Like you grab a Mark 18 off the shelf, it's gonna weigh more than this, and you have insane capabilities. We talk about those supersonic and subsonic capabilities. Like I brought this just so you can see. So this is a 300. I believe this is a 350 Makers bullet. One of the common ones that we shoot. And so when it opens up, it looks like a grappling hook. I mean, this is 4 times, basically 4x expansion. 4 times the original diameter of the bullet. And you can mess with that. So
I'm just like
that.
I wonder if the autofocus is working there.
And so, I mean, you look at that expansion, if you see, like, people see hydroshocks, you know, like a 9mm hydroshock, which is one of the most common defense rounds in the world. And they're like, wow, that's a crazy expansion, crazy mushroom, whatever. This, when it goes inside of you, not only is it going inside of you, but you can see the rotational marks on the bullet. It is twisting. So it's doing that blender blade inside of you while it's traveling north to south or east to west, whatever. And it's it's retaining all of its weight. Every now and again, like if you hit bone real hard, these can break off. Not super common. They usually retain, it retains all its weight. So you're taking this 350 grain projectile, shooting it at 1,000 feet per second and just crushing things. And that's just the standard. You can go buy that at Just Cause Solutions right now, or, you know, Discreet Ballistics they make a good bullet. The Barnes bullets are really good. Again, like get your Match Kings from Sierra. So 8.6 is still small, still growing. It's new. It's only a few years old, 2 to 3 years old right now. But it's growing. And now we're starting to see the larger manufacturers. Like there's 2 of the larger ammo manufacturers in the country that have already said, hey, we're starting to load 8.6. So hopefully at SHOT Show, they'll announce it or whatever. Yeah. And so you're going to see prices go, you know, down to comparable to 6.5. Like right now you can go to Phantom Defense out of Utah, and you can buy their 8.6 300 Sierra Match King load for like $37 a box. It's not crazy. That's everyone's biggest point of contention is like, well, I'd buy it, but it's $3 a round. It's not. Just go look for it. And also it's like, okay, well, what is your, like 30-06 is expensive right now, unless you're getting core locked. Like 6.5 is still expensive. It's just like everything's expensive right now, dude. Like
bread is expensive.
Yeah, and 5.56 is expensive still. Like so, yeah, people want to complain about that, but the capabilities that you're getting with this, and it's super exciting in the hunting world because it's like the Subsonic can. I know guys that only archery hunt because their whole idea is like, oh, rifle's too easy. All right, idiot. You just wound animals. But if guys want to extend their archery season, Subsonic, like an 8-inch fix with shooting subs, you really need to start playing your distance and have your range finder, all that, like know your dope, like that can extend that season. It's not easy to shoot big animals far away with, you know, these big honking bullets. For me, what gets me excited is I'm super into the idea of the most compact package and still get extended results. So like a 12-inch. So when I was just in Africa last, I had an 8-inch 300 Blackout mini fix, and I was shooting supersonic, some of the hybrid case, like high pressure supersonics. And I shot an Impala at 400 yards with an 8-inch gun. Like the idea of a 12-inch gun that I can shoot animals, big game animals, out to 700 yards with excites me a lot. Like it weighs nothing. You can hump up and down mountains and this and that and still kill things at extended ranges. That excites me a lot. The thought process within the shop, and a lot of guys that I know, like even we've got a former tier 1 guy that works with us, and he's super excited about the compact subsonic stuff. So it's like, there's something for everyone in there, and the capabilities are just, they're insane. People want to talk about it like it's a flash in the pan. It's the same people that said 300 Blackout would never work, and now they own 5 300 Blackouts. And it's like, this is being done by the guys that did 300 Blackout. So everything they learned about 300 Blackout, they implemented on this.
No, and that's why I was a little bit curious about it, because I've heard multiple guys bring up like, man, I really want to get an 8.6 Blackout. Like guys are giddy about the idea of it. I mean, there's real excitement about that. And I guess you can say that about any sort of trendy thing. Yeah. But, you know, this does seem like something that fills a specific purpose, is a legitimate improvement that, you know, is, like you said, it's going to be around for a while. For sure. It feels like that.
Yeah, I agree for sure. And I mean, for where we live up here, like this is the perfect, like I just shot a moose on Wednesday with my coworker, and he used, we doubled up on it. He used a Megafix prototype in 375 Ruger, and I shot it with 8.6 supers, 210 Barnes, or no, 190. And just like, you can see the wound channel. Like when you open it up, you're like, oh, this has a real impact on real animals. Like, yeah, as an 800-pound animal, and it's just absolutely
not small.
No, they're not.
Where'd you kill it, in Maine or?
Yeah, up in Amity in Zone 11.
Jill, I've been putting in for a Maine moose tag since I've lived here.
Oh yeah, I don't think I'll ever get one. Like I know people. Actually, I have a friend, and her dad just got one. I think he's put in for 60 years, and he finally got one. And growing up in Maine, I knew like I'll never draw one. Everyone I know that like their first year hunting, they'll put in, they get one. I'm like, yeah, you got to be kidding me. But so when this opportunity came up, I was like, I gotta be on it. Let me be on it.
Yeah.
And I honestly didn't anticipate even pulling the trigger. And the guide was like, hey, because of where it's at, it's so thick in there. Like, I want both of you to shoot. I said, perfect.
Yeah.
Great. So
share the credit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome. But
that's pretty cool.
8.6 is definitely the next big thing. And it's not just us talking about it now. You're seeing a lot of companies do 8.6. So like we can try to make people believe in it, but we don't have to anymore because the other companies that are making guns and that are our peers are like, oh no, this is legit. So it's a real thing. I mean, you're even seeing companies that don't like us. Like B&T is not the biggest fan of us, and they've got an 8.6 gun. So it must mean something.
Trendsetters.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever heard of Jack Carr before?
I certainly have. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I got a package from him the other day. I wanted to just do this right here on the show because he does you think about like Q, right?
Yep.
Like you guys do such a cool job of marketing and branding and everything. And you're a big part of that. Jack, as far as authors go, he to me is, up there with the greatest marketers of his books that are out there. Check this box out. I've had I might need to blur my address out. But the custom tape and everything, he does this with every book. He goes above and beyond.
Yeah.
And personally, I love the books. Are you a big reader? Or
yeah, absolutely.
Like, I think he does a good job. I grew up on Tom Clancy's.
Yeah.
Without Remorse was one of my favorite books growing up.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he definitely went above and beyond. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Mackie Sog one. Yeah.
Yeah. Check this out, dude.
Mine must still be in the mail.
And it just felt a little subtle call out to Jack there.
Yeah, thanks, Jack.
This felt like the right episode to do this on. We got guns out on the table.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool stuff, high quality stuff. Same thing with Jack. I think he puts out really quality things. But
if these dudes could have our guns, the war would end it sooner for sure.
Look at this.
Oh yeah, you got everything,
dude.
Patches, coins.
Are you kidding me? Got a little bookmark here. You got this is based on the MACV SOG patch, which legendary special operations unit from Vietnam. The coin, he always does a coin. These are really cool.
Yeah, those are solid.
Really cool. Check
Very
that
cool.
out. And then nice little letter in here. I'll look at that later. And then the newest book.
Super cool.
Cry Havoc, Jack Carr. Look at that. That smoky mug
there he
on
is
the
on
back
the back.
there.
Whoa, yeah.
Guys, he's got cards,
stickers,
everything.
Oh, he even signed it. Look at that.
Marty, enjoy the journey back to 1968 Vietnam.
Super cool.
Man, I think this stuff is so cool. I'm envious. I've never had a book release that I've done. I've got a couple books myself, and I've never been able to do something like this.
What is that?
I think this is a handkerchief.
Oh, okay.
This is like a bandana. I think.
Yeah, I thought it was a beret. I was like, oh.
This is above and beyond. He'll usually do the letter and like a coin and a bookmark, but this is definitely another level up. I've been collecting his books for a long time now.
That's awesome.
I always do. I'm a nonfiction author.
Yep.
Really, I mean, he makes me want to be a fiction author.
Yeah.
I want to write fiction books.
He stays on that realistic fiction at least though, like because it's so hard for me to get into. People recommended so many books who are like, oh, it's blah blah blah. I'm like, man, I've just got dragons and fairies. I just can't do it. Like my brain won't let me. But the realistic stuff, like I've read the Terminalist stuff, and it's easy to, especially because I mean, both of us like we probably know. I mean, we know guys that he probably talked to get some information, and obviously he was a part of the organization as well. But like, so it's relatable because I'm like, oh, I heard a similar story. Like, my buddy so those are easy for me to get into. But Yeah.
And you can always, when you come from that community and you know those guys, and you know, a small part of my life was spent in that world, you can kind of read between the lines on some things, because he'll still, I think at least, writes around certain things, and leaves a few sort of nuggets in there for like, if you know, you know, sort of thing. Yeah. And I appreciate that.
For sure. Yeah. If you can get that feeling of like, oh, I'm on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a club there. But yeah, he does such a great job with that. And like I said, I just wanted to take the opportunity on camera.
That's super cool.
With like, you know, of the guests that I have, I'm like, I bet Jay probably appreciate.
I don't know him personally. We have a lot of mutual friends, and I know he's heard of me for sure. No, he has no idea who I am, but mine's still probably in the mail.
It's a pretty cool, cool setup. And this is one of his older ones that I have up there. I'm into all sorts of different types of books, though. I've got, you know, I got a Chuck Palahniuk pink one back there. I've got, you know, Tom Clancy's over there. I've got the FM 7-8 Infantry Rifle Platoon and Squad Manual. It's all pretty cool. Mine's up here, the paperback of it. And it's pretty cool. Do you remember these magazines that we used to do at Black
Rifle?
Yeah,
100%.
Dude, those were so cool. I really had a good time doing those. That's one of my favorite cover stories that we did. We took all, I talked to the guy, Matt Kaltwriter. He's the one that wrote that story. And I was like, hey, let's go find the guys behind all these like popular memes.
Oh yeah,
like the military memes. You notice each
Vining,
of those?
Yeah, Mike Vining, the DEA guy. Was he a fast guy? Is that what he was?
He was an Australian SAS guy.
Yeah.
But he was on a DEA mission in Afghanistan, I want to say. But and there's other guys in the story, but he went and tracked all these guys down. Like Mike Vining's not necessarily hard to find, but my friend Jack Mandeville served with the Marine in this picture. Yeah, he's a CPA now. He's an accountant.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. But that famous one of like, and you know, my last fuck, like that's like that meme. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's cool to have, these stories like this out there. I'm 100%. You know, so stoked that Jack has continued, and he actually does have a nonfiction book too. He did on the Beirut bombing. It's primarily a fiction
that's
author.
Right.
Yeah. It's all really cool stuff. And I just think, you know, bringing these different worlds together. I mean, like I said, we've got, you know, these amazing rifles on the table, these amazing silencers that you guys do. I'm so stoked. I feel like I'm walking away from here today like I'm more informed.
Yeah, no, we'll get you. We got to get you, because I didn't realize you were so close. So we'll get you to the shop and have you. It would be cool to have you build a gun, and like we had Doug build a gun. And, see how everything kind of goes. And,
it'd be rad.
And get to the range and have you shoot and kind of see behind the curtain. We're not a secretive place by any means. There's a million videos of behind the curtain at Q, and we're always happy to have people come by and
and it's funny because I had the exact opposite impression. I told Doug when he was here for that, he's the CIA case officer that we had on, a mutual friend of ours. I told Doug as we were getting ready to leave, I was like, I'd love to get somebody from Q on over here, but I don't know how, you know, how willing they are to talk about their stuff. He's like, dude, they're very open. Oh, really? Have I just been, yes, I did. I just completely missed a bunch of this stuff. Yeah.
No, we're happy because we believe in it. That's the thing is, we don't do stuff. It's not like Kevin will say it a million times. Like he's got a good amount of money, but that's not, he also sold a company and XYZ. And he's like, we don't do this. If we were doing this for the money, none of the guns would be as in depth as they are. Like I said, you can just print out cookie cutter ARs and print money. But we don't. We spend a lot of money. I mean, we spend more money than I'm sure we're.
It's the love of the craft at this point.
100%. Yeah. And you know, it's funny. We talked about the rumor mill earlier. I stepped away from Q for about a year and a half to just. There's so many things I wanted to see in the world, and what was cool is Kevin was super supportive of it, and he basically was like, I could tell you to stick around and, you know, just wait it out a couple more years. He's like, but you're talking about following your dreams. He's like, who would I be to tell you to not do that? And he's like, you're speaking my language. So
what'd you go do during that time?
I just freelanced. I tried to do some marketing stuff, like take things that I took from Q and put them in other industries. And then, I went to Iraq in 23 just because I never deployed in the military and,
wanted to go see what all the hubbub was about.
Yeah. I was going to go to Afghanistan first, but I had a contact there, and turned out things just weren't there's probably other places to go first.
Iraq is a lot safer to go to for an American right now than post-withdrawal Afghanistan. There's examples of guys on social media going over there and stuff like that, and they're collaborating with the Taliban to make that happen and all of that, which for me feels, and it's just because of my own life experiences, I would feel a little bit icky collaborating 100%. With the Taliban, even though the Taliban for all intents and purposes is every Afghan.
I was gonna say,
like it's not
half of them are probably the ANA dudes you served with.
Exactly. Exactly. That's just where the job is now. The government is the Taliban. But it would just feel weird for me doing that. But Iraq, I went back last summer, not summer 24.
Did you go up north or down south?
Baghdad. It was actually my first time going back to Baghdad since I was in Baghdad deployed there. I'd been back to Iraq. I'd been to Erbil.
I love Erbil.
All over northern. Yeah, amazing area. Went hiking up in the Barzani Mountains up there.
Yeah, I was up in Lalish and Akro.
Really cool place. And you can see a legitimate future for a tourism industry there.
100%. And the Kurds are amazing.
Amazing people. But going back to Baghdad was wild because that's I go back and now the grass is green. The public fountains and parks are like working. They're operational. A lot of the same overpasses and stuff near where a lot of guys would recognize like the green zone area and stuff. They're still there, but they're improved. The roads are good. There's no T barriers on the roads. I remember having to weave in and out of T barriers to go anywhere. Those are all removed. It's like a normal functioning city, and flying into, I had a similar experience when I flew into Kabul, just into the Kabul Hamid Karzai International Airport. Same thing flying into Baghdad on the civilian side. It's just like, the only time I've ever been to this country was on a C-17 coming in. And so coming into Baghdad and just being picked up at the airport and being dropped back off at the airport and going through security and just you're in line with a bunch of other people, and it's just like it feels like there's maybe a little bit less to be upset about in retrospect, knowing that it's like a fully operational sort of, are they completely leveraged by the Iranians? Yes. I can't turn around and say we won or anything like that. But it's like, oh man, the fountains are working, kids are playing in the park, and like there's something to be said about that. For sure. I'm glad you got a chance to go over and see that 100%. Place.
And I was bummed out because I was under the impression, because it used to be that you could fly into Erbil and get both your Kurdish and federal Iraqi visas, and they had stopped that 2 weeks before I got there.
It stops. Like it depends on the political situation in the country.
So when I got there, I could only get my Kurdish visa, and you have to fly to Baghdad. And I said, cool, but I just didn't have enough time. Like I was looking at flights, and because what's crazy is looking at looking at Mike Vining and knowing guys that served with him and this thing. My favorite part about not just Q, but the industry is the reach and just the how small the world becomes. And as soon as I landed in Erbil, I posted a photo that I was there or something, and not anywhere specific. And a dude reached out to me from Iraq, from Baghdad, born and raised in Baghdad, knows me because of Q, is just a fan of Q, watches our videos and stuff, and he DM'd me and said, hey, welcome to our still kind of fucked up country. He's like, I noticed you're up north. If you ever want to come down south, please stay with my family, whatever. He's like, there's still some parts that you're probably not the most welcome guy on the planet, but he's like, but I'd love to have you at my house. And that
Baghdad, like Chicago or any other place, is still got neighborhoods you don't go to. Sadr City was a bad part of town before we invaded. It's a bad part of town after we invaded. Things like that. But there's places you can go. You can go out to eat in Baghdad. You can go out to eat in Erbil for sure.
Oh, Erbil's,
I drank a beer in Erbil, which was, kind of cool.
The Kurds are so cool. I was there during Ramadan too, which was an interesting experience. It's funny. So I'm kind of stepping ahead. My Iraq experience was great. Coming back, it was kind of a bummer. I was pulled aside and had a whole 2-hour conversation, but on
the U.S. side,
U.S. side, but in Homeland Defense's or TSA's defense, I had also racked up a domestic terrorism charge a few months earlier when I was freelancing. They found it was an expended smoke grenade that I'd forgot was in my bag, but they found it for me, so all was well. And that was this whole ordeal. I was taking photos of German special operations, and they were doing some force-on-4 stuff, and I thought I was just being a nice guy, clean up the range for him, and just threw stuff in a bag and would dump it in the dumpster, and forgot apparently there was an expended smoke in there.
Wait, so did you really get charged with domestic terrorism?
It was I have the letter from Homeland Security. It was like, on this date, you attempted to get an explosive device through Boston Logan Airport. And it says something, it says like pending domestic terrorism, blah, blah, blah. And it basically gave me my fee, my fine. And they said, but if you pay half of it by this date, you're good. I was like, this is extortion, but okay. Like, here's my fine. And nothing came of it, but for like, when I got back from Iraq for probably 3 months, I was getting messages on WhatsApp basically being like, hey, heard about your trip to Iraq, would love to ask you questions. I'm like, no, thanks. I'm all set. But that a lot of I learned a lot of things that I already knew with Iraq and things that irritate me quite a bit now, especially with like Israel-Palestine stuff going on, where it's like people are so outspoken about these things that they know, one, nothing about, and two, it's like, well, what about the Turks and the Kurds? Like, when I was there, like, they bombed the shit out of Suleimania when I was there, like unprovoked. Like the Turks are trying to exterminate the Kurds, and the federal Iraqis want it too. And it's like, why does no one care about that? Like, the Kurds are our actual allies. Like,
Kurds are the most perpetually overlooked ethnic group in the world, I would say. That's not fair. There's definitely lots of ethnic groups in Western China that are getting the bad end of
100%
the CCP, and so there's other places too. I guess it's not fair to say that they're the most overlooked, but they're definitely overlooked,
absolutely,
compared to other things. But it's because there's a lot of people who, and it doesn't mean that what I like to tell people is, like, you can say that you don't think the what's going on in Palestine is okay. You can have that opinion. You can still think that other things are bad too. It is not a binary choice.
Right, 100%.
Like, you can still think that what happened to the Kurds in Syria. I went to a refugee camp just outside of Mosul for a story, and it was all Syrian Kurds who'd been pushed out by ISIS, and I interviewed a couple of them. One, it's heartbreaking because some of the kids in that camp were born in the camp. They don't know life outside. They don't know of life outside of a refugee camp. Yeah. And then the older ones, the adults and like the teenagers and stuff, they escaped ISIS. Like, you may have physically escaped ISIS. You didn't mentally escape what that was like to escape by the skin of your teeth.
It's rare that you escaped with your mom and your dad and your sister. It's like you escaped.
There's one story. I didn't meet this guy, but it was a story that I read about a guy in Syria where he was in one village and had to basically run to the village next door to get groceries. And these places, they're very tribal in a lot of places. And so often the village that you live in is also where you're not just your mom, dad, sisters, brothers live, your kids, but also your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, everything. Most of your extended family lives in this area in many cases. And the story about this guy, he went, and it was during the campaign, he went over. This is when Bashar al-Assad dropped chemical weapons, wiped out most of his village, all of his family. He came back from getting groceries to his entire, not just his immediate family, but extended family dead.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, he lost everything. That's one of those stories that I think about every time when I need to put things in context about when I'm like, oh, this is hard, or I don't like what's going, like, man, it can be worse. It's people have gone through worse, and that doesn't, on that point too, on the mental side, I always try to tell people too, just because somebody has it worse doesn't mean you don't have it bad. Again, it's not a binary thing, just like we're talking about with caring about ethnic groups or things like that. But it does, from a personal, like, mental health perspective, help to keep it in mind that, hey, maybe you can make it through this. Yeah. People have made it through worse. For sure. Like, you can, get your chin up.
Yeah, for sure.
It's okay, man. I know the bills are tight, inflation sucks, and your kid hates you or whatever, your wife's divorcing you. I mean, all sorts of different things. But it doesn't have to be the end of the world for you. Humans are incredibly capable of enduring some of the worst things that other humans can. Yeah, there we go. There's a word that works. Resilient. They're very resilient. But anyways, and I was going to say too, on a totally different topic, I feel a little bit embarrassed that I'm wearing my Garmin over here rocking a Seiko SKX GMT. Like, I've been, because of watches of espionage, I've just been like full on into watch culture now and stuff.
It's funny. Jason Vincent from Field Ethos, he's a watch guy, and they have a couple bucks, and I get paid in pats on the back at Q. So I'm like, man, that's a cool watch. Well, he's like, I got a watch you can start with, and he gave me the Arabic dial Seiko. Seiko 5. That. Yeah. So he gave me he gave me that, and I still have it. I swap straps all the time with it, I love all watches. Like, I mean,
was it the black dial or the white dial?
Black dial.
I got the white dial just to be different because so many people, when I put a watches of espionage leather strap on it looks.
Yeah. So now I'm like, even though it's like, great, I'd love to just go get an Explorer 1, but like I can get 4 Seikos for that. So like now I'm way into the Seiko world, and like, I mean, like the one of our engineers wears the SKX 009, the Pepsi dial, but this is like the Patty one. So I'm like, oh, I want to get the Patty one because I don't know anyone that has the Patty version. That kind of thing. So, and you can get, Seiko now, like not even Grand Seiko, but regular Seiko is using spring drive. So you can get,
their Prospects line is super legit. They've got some really nice watches, and they're putting sapphire crystals in. They've got solid movements. They do some really, one of my favorite watches that I got is in a Seiko SJB 005. I think it was only available in Japan in that specific color. It was a green, like a hunter green dial, but it's a GMT and had a screw down crown and all the attributes of a dive watch, but in a GMT, plus a date window, all that sort of stuff. And I that is like my new, like if I'm going somewhere adventurous, that's like my adventure watch.
It's like
it's got a compass on it too that you can.
That's super cool. So is it an Alpinist?
It's the variation of the Alpinist.
Okay, the Japanese domestic one or whatever.
No, it's not literally, because the Alpinist is like 12, 3, 6, 9 for the numbers. This one is every 2 hours. So it's not, but it is basically the Alpinist. But not.
Because it's just like this. Now that I have this, I try to wear it everywhere. But it's like when I go to Africa, like I have like the GMT that came out that's kind of Explorer 2S, where it has the bezel is your 24-hour time, and I'm like, that makes more sense over there, but I'm like, but I want to just like, we talked about nostalgia before, where it's like, like I carry in the knife world or the gun world, everyone's got a knife, and everyone carries Benchmades and Benchmades and Spyderco and all this. Like I have a Buck 110 that I bought a couple years ago, and I just decided like, I'm going to buy this knife and I'm going to carry it every day, and in 60 years I'm going to see what it looks like. And it's the same idea with this, where it's like, I want to just wear this one thing and beat it up and see what it looks like in 40 years. Like,
I have that knife. Basically, I've got my dad's version of it and my grandpa's version of it. My dad's one, I think, is a little bit shorter than that. That's what, a 5-inch blade probably.
Yeah. His is probably the 112, the Ranger.
Yeah, probably. But it's, you want to talk about knives that are nostalgic.
Oh yeah. Like, and I mean, and I've run this knife through, normally I have 2 knives. I mean, I have a small little case knife that I'll usually put in my pocket. So like for food and stuff, like if I'm cutting an apple, I use my case knife, because with this, like I've run it through bison, deer, African animals, like everything. And I take care of it. It's not like I'm just beating it up. And I'm just now starting to see where I've been sharpening it. Like, but this knife does everything. And it was designed to be is a folder that acted like a fixed blade. That's what Buck said. And I love it. It's heavy. It should go in like a carrier, but I just throw it in my pocket, so it smashes around with all my keys or whatever, which I like the patina on it. But yeah, Kevin gives me shit all the time, because everything we do for work is like light, space age, next best thing. And it's like, I carry a Smith & Wesson Model 29 on my hip, like a full size 40, well, I mean, it's 4-inch, but a full size 44 Magnum, like with ivory grips, like that, a blued revolver with ivory. That's what I'm into. Or like a Colt single action army. Like I'm into that kind of stuff. And it's funny, like the gun world, like when I grew up being into guns, and then I worked at SIG, and it's funny when you talk to people who worked at SIG, most of the time, like the way I hear it is most of the time people say, I did X years. Or so I'm like, yeah, I did 4 years at SIG, or, I did 2, I did 5, I did 7. Everyone always says I did this many years, like it was a prison sentence. Oh, I did 5 years, I did 2 years. And it's funny because like, if you ask the people that work there, like, well, yeah, it kind of was like, it wasn't really prison, but you're kind of treated like shit for a lot of times. And it's not that way at Q. But so like, I was into guns. SIG kind of like burnt me out on them. I'm just like, I don't even like guns anymore. I don't like the people. I don't like whatever. And then going to Q rejuvenated a lot of that for me. And the biggest part is, like we talked about for a second, is like network, just the people. Like, I mean, growing up, like I remember reading Nate Fick's book, not Making a Marine. It might be Making a Marine. I don't know. But I remember being like 5th grade reading his book. And now it's like at SHOT Show, I'll be just at dinner with people and I'll be next to say, oh, what'd you do? Oh, you're in the Marine School. Blah, blah, blah. And it turns out, oh, that's Nate Fick. Or like, you know, the dudes on the UBL raid or like Saddam and all that. Like those dudes text me happy birthday now. And I'm like, dude, like, it's so weird. Just this little, this one thing, this thing that like most of my friends think I'm a nerd. Like I used to hide that I hunted and that I was into guns from my friends because I didn't want people to think I was a redneck. And like, I don't know, there's this weird, like, I didn't want that to be, and I didn't want people to think like I was a crazy person because I was into guns. But so for the average person like me knowing all the parts about this, or like, yo, you're a gun nerd or whatever. But it got me to get to know this guy who I read books about when I was a kid. And then his buddy who got me to get to know this guy. And it's just like, it's such a strange, weird little world, and the world is genuinely smaller than people people think.
That, I think, Jay, is the perfect sentiment to end this on. What a beautiful sentiment. I completely agree. Thanks for coming in today, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
This is exciting. And if people want to see more about the things that we talked about here, it's Q, literally just the letter Q. Is the name of the company. We'll include a link in the description and all that sort of stuff. And hopefully this isn't the last time we talk.
No, for sure. We'll definitely have to get you to the shop and kind of, you know, I speak to the layman, but our engineers can get real in depth on words that I don't understand and just shake my head and pretend I do. So you can see, and the way that we manufacture everything is really cool, and kind of see, we talk about the brand and the culture all the time, but getting to see the actual culture in action is very cool. So we'll have to have you come walk around and check it out and get you on the range.
I can't wait.
See if you still know how to shoot.
I don't. Until the next time, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. Right.